Good evening, model railroaders, and welcome back to the Second Section podcast. The podcast where it's just regular guys talking about model railroading. I'm your host, Andy Dorsch, and I am joined tonight by my co-host, Mike Ostertag. Mike, how are you doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
I am upright and taking nourishment, so I cannot complain.
That's a good thing, especially at this time of night.
It is, and it's been particularly cold up here in the Midwest. So, yeah, I'm surprised I'm not froze to the ground just yet. But anyways, I guess everyone didn't tune in for a weather report this evening, did they, Mike?
Well, no, but I mean, hey, when it's cold outside, it's a good time to go downstairs and throw on the space heater and, do some modeling.
Some modeling. There you go. That's right. So with us, we got a show tonight that is really going to dive in to the details, and I feel like we have our details guru William Sampson with us tonight. Welcome, William. How are you doing?
We're doing pretty good. I mean, getting down to the nitty gritty.
The nitty gritty. So is this a third time appearing on the show for us?
It might be four.
Geez. So
it might be.
We're going to have to put him on a payroll here pretty soon.
Pretty soon we're going to have to put William on the payroll, but you're a Saturday Night Live guy, right?
Yep.
So you're familiar with the Five Timers Club, right?
Wow.
Yeah, we're getting jackets.
Yeah, I think we're going to get some jackets for five timers. And then whenever we have a new five timer on, we'll have to have you or whoever reaches that milestone first introduce the next one. So I think that's what we're going to do here. So 4 times, William Sampson, you're not a stranger to the second section, but for those who don't know you, would you please give us a introduction about yourself and what are you doing in model railroading?
Yeah, I'm located up here in Minnesota. So whether it's a Vikings fan or a Packer fan, I don't know. But Mike got a little bit of a stern look on his face. I should be a Packer fan. I've been to more Packer games than Viking games. So, but as far as modeling is concerned, I've really grown up around it. My dad, at a very young age, he was already into model railroading. So I've seen a layout or at least trains in my life probably since day one.
Okay.
And as far as the interest in the hobby, it actually probably grows beyond that. It's the guys that we've gotten to know over the years that we still know to this day. So I'm 42 and I'd probably say that I know some of these guys for 42 years or at least 30 some years. And they remember me since I was real young, and I don't remember obviously them at that age. But I got into modeling, myself probably, I don't know, I'd say as a teenager, experimenting on a lot of the stuff that my dad had on his railroad. And that meant take a boxcar, strip it, and then try to repaint it. It didn't turn out so good, then hide it. And then eventually maybe try to fix it again. And if I ever felt like it was good enough to try to put back on the rails, let my dad check it out and see kind of how that paint job turned out. But that's what kind of got me cutting my teeth on it. I do have a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree.
Okay.
Concentration in graphic design. So art is in my background, and that is why I kind of like some of the details and the graphics and all that sort of thing when it comes to modeling. But my modeling career itself, once I went off to college, kind of dissipated a little bit. As do most. You find the gals, you find the cars, you find other things to kind of be doing. And then you realize that you can only have so much of the vehicles and only so much of the gals. So then it goes back to the railroading. And that's when I kind of started into, after I got married, I started into building my own railroad. I did have one in an apartment at one point, but the Hiawatha Elevated District that I've mentioned in the past, and for those that don't know, I modeled 1985 Minneapolis, so South Minneapolis, just a small stretch. Basically from the actual south side of the cities, which is the Hiawatha Elevated District. And nice. I've been modeling that for, I don't know, a couple of years. And a big thanks to what was the last show that you guys had on was Tom Klomoski. He's been mentioned a lot in videos that I've done on YouTube, the YouTube channel, Soo the Milwaukee Road. I've done those videos, and I give kudos to Tom because Tom is actually the one that kind of kicked it down the road and got me interested in doing videos because he was doing some videos, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool way to share your railroad. But on top of that, I sent him a message, and I don't even know what the question was in regards, but he responded back, and I thought that was the craziest thing ever. I'm like, I can ask a question to somebody on the old interwebs, and they're going to respond with actual relevant information. And then Tom, over the years, I've gotten to know better and better, and he did ask that I feature my railroad in his book. I usually have it sitting up on the shelf, but I have it sitting in the other room. The Building the Right Size Railroad. And that's kind of brought us to here and the network of people that we've kind of got to know. I got to know you guys just virtually through the interwebs. I was listening to Mike, obviously, on a prior podcast, and we met him at Modelers Retreat. And I said to my dad, I'm like, this is the guy that's on that podcast. My dad says, well, that's the guy? He's one of the guys.
No, so that ain't him.
And then we continue to kind of get ourselves to where we are today. So that's what modeling in my world is in a nutshell.
Okay. So Soo the Milwaukee Road, do you lean one way or the other towards the Soo line or the Milwaukee Road? Do you have a favorite?
I mean, historically, because I saw the Milwaukee Road, I remember as a kid, we used to go into Shoreham Yard and we would see a lot of the stuff getting banditized, or it was just prior to. So I saw the orange and black. And at that time, I thought it was cool because they didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to the roads that were there. And then now I started to learn what mergers were. And I wasn't a huge fan of mergers. So I like that juncture right before or right at the merge because stuff didn't get blacked out because that happened in like 87.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm the more and more I learn about the Milwaukee Road, the more and more it's stealing some love away from the Chicago Northwestern. Not all the way. Not all the way.
Come over to the dark side, my young apprentice.
Yeah, and you guys have cookies, right?
Open your heart to the dark side.
So I guess maybe to get things kicked off here on the intros to the show tonight, question for the I guess the section crew out in the chat tonight. We got 113 of you out there tonight.
Holy Nikes.
Yeah, you're telling me. Keep it PG there, Mike.
Wow.
We got 113 people in the chat tonight. I think I've told some people that they're going to be moderators for the chat tonight. So they're going to be taking care of our chat, kicking out any bots and any unruly crew members. So if you make sure you keep her in the terms of model railroading, keep it civil. We're all here to have fun tonight. But the question to the group of what's your favorite railroad out there? So throw that up in the chat and we'll introduce you as part of the section crew. So
you really went there, didn't you?
I did.
Wow.
So
thanks everybody. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll talk to you next time.
And thanks Humanity Junction on the note for the 1,000 subscribers. Okay, so we got, let's see here. Oh my God, here I can't even keep up. There's that's it. It's a million of them.
Here we go. You know what? You did it. Yeah. You deal with it.
Yep. So
thank you very much there, Heath.
So Mike Slater says, and welcome Mike, says, how long till Andy switches railroads? Well, probably in a couple of weeks. I don't know. We'll see. But we got Mike Christensen here, and he says you can't go away from the CNW. Relatable 100 is here tonight. Otter Creek and Rio Grande, Touch of the Brush model weathering. Joseph is here tonight. Welcome. Dave, BNSF, N-Scale, Grandpa Rails. Let's see here. Peter Tillman, Boomer Dioramas is here. Welcome, Boomer. Storm Sky Rail Productions. Hello, Storm Sky. Trackside Mike. I think I mentioned Tony Dixon's here. Paul Scott, August, and the CNW and Mondovi line is here. Thomas Austin chiming in with the Mopac. Phil Oloco, the NYSW. Let's see here. Conrail and PRR for Joe from TOTB. Fox River Rail fan says Fox River Valley Railroad. Beerline Modeler says, hi, Mike, but I'm going to bet you $1 he's a Milwaukee Road guy. I can't pronounce this one. The Wace and Core Less CNW. Nick LaRusso, Western Pacific in the 1950s. Mark Wines, Southern Pacific. Trackside Mike says CNUP, BNSF, NNS. Dan Head is here tonight, says blame Heath for sending us this way. Well, thank you, Heath, for sending the crew over tonight. Appreciate that. Mike Shanky says WSOR, Jeff Anthony, Maine Central, IMRO.com. Eric says SPATSFBN. Gerald Stewart is here tonight. Welcome. Robert Thomas says the Frisco. And I was right there on Beerline Modeler. He's a Milwaukee Road. Tim Moran says, do you have to model your favorite railroad? Absolutely not. Logitech says C&W forever. John Haney says C&O. And just a little shout out for the Facebook group that we have here on the second section. John Haney posted some amazing photos of the C&O and Piney River. So that was really cool. Thanks, John. Thomas Chris says the Pierre Marquette and C&O. Glenn Frick, Southern serves the South. Dodo One Ops, he's a Frisco guy. Bill Kenkel, CP. Tom Klamoski says the Georgia Northeastern, obviously. Otter Creek and Rio Grande, Denver and Rio Grande. Green Bay Western Lines, he's a C&W guy. Nope, just kidding. Green Bay Western. And Tony Dixon's Chicago Central and Pacific with the Rainbow Fleet to win. That's a good one, Tony. Let's see here. David Keller says he models the Milwaukee Road 1928 to 1944 in scale 2 rail. Wigwag Workshop says Chicago Northwestern, also Wisconsin Central. Storm Sky says C&W Conrail Chessie. Oh my God, CGW 116A. Obviously CGW, right? Chicago and Great Western, the great one. BNSF N scale says BNSF and BNSF post merger, just post merger. Chris Conway, BNO PC. Welcome Late Night Model Railroad. Let's see here. Boxcar Will says C&W. And let's see, Graham Stockfield here, MNNS, Sioux Line. Ooh, that's in your territory, William.
Well, MNNS's too. I like that. Good choice, Graham.
Tom Holly, Central of Georgia. Mini Print says everyone is here. Yeah, the whole gang's here. How about it? Welcome, Bernard. Western Pacific from Bernard C. Eric comes back and says anything pre-1996 mergers. Philoloco, I think that was the NYSW, the Susquehanna, and the comments go on and on and on and on and on. So welcome everybody to the second section podcast. It's going to be a hoot nanny tonight, and our subject tonight is going to be talking about details. So our show format is going to be we're going to go into our normal segments this evening. So we're going to do hashtag not sponsored. Then we're going to talk about details on our locomotives. We're going to bring up Amherst and see what everyone thought about it. And then we're going to talk about details on your automobiles on your layout. And then we're going to do what's on our workbench. And then from there, we'll do details on the building and we'll wrap up the show. So we got a great show tonight. So we'll take our first commercial break, and we're going to go ahead and cue up the Greasy Meat Hands Band for our first commercial break. That's right. It's time for hashtag not sponsored, where we talk about the things, the manufacturers and the products that we've recently seen come out and we think that are really cool. So it's going to be a fun little slate. We got a couple items out there. Mike, do you have anything that you want to share tonight for hashtag not sponsored?
Yep.
Okay, good job.
All right.
How about you? That's it.
All right.
That's it.
Okay, so where to start?
From the beginning.
Let's see. All right, let's start with this, because this is really super cool. All right. I don't know where I saw this, but I saw it someplace online, and I think it might have been on one of my S-Scale groups, or it was on a group of some sort. And it was a company by the name of We Honest. You've ever heard of them?
We Honest, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds made up.
Well, it sounds made up, but check these out.
So what are we looking at here, Mike? Those
I'm
are
trying to, you know what? Better yet, let's do
put
it
them
this
put it
way.
on the overhead.
Let's put it on the overhead camera. Let's see, fancy technical production stuff.
That looks good.
All right, look at this.
Pull it back towards you a little bit there. Let it zoom in. There you go, right there. That's center shot.
There we go.
So we're
Look at
looking at what these are crossbucks.
These are
Lights
LED crossing lights. Okay, and they're bi-directional,
Wow.
all on one thing.
Yeah.
I bought a set of 4 of these on eBay, and I want to say they were like $20 or $30 for a set of 4. They come pre-wired with these fancy little deals on the ends.
Little connectors there. They look like pin plug connectors.
Yep, it comes with a little pin connector deal. And now the caveat to these is the fact that this is the 3-inch version. Okay. They have 2-inch versions and 3-inch versions. All right.
Okay.
The 2-inch versions are right around HO scale size. The 3-inch version are way too big for HO, but are right around S scale. They're just like maybe a tick too big for S, but close enough.
Wow.
You know, so I picked these up and I thought, boy, this is really cool. So, all right, this is where I've been practicing this. So I'm going to see
practicing.
I'm going to sit here and I'm going to do a present. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go, nope, this one right here. Can you see that?
Yeah, there we go. That looks good.
So when you buy them, like on this is off of their website, wehonest.net, and it really is kind of cool. A set of 2 is $17, which I don't think is horrible at all. You know,
it's not bad at all.
This says it's O scale 2 signal.
Okay,
but I mean they have all sorts of different sizes. If you can go to like the HO grade crossing signals here, and you know that there's all sorts of different sizes of these things, and you just they have a screw on the bottom and a nut that comes with it. You can see it right here.
Yep.
So you drill a hole and that goes through. The nut cinches this tight right to the floor, and this is made out of all brass.
Whoa.
This is there's very little, if any, plastic on this at all. So I mean, these are no joke of a light. And then they have the your techie stuff right there is to for
the connection and
the connections and
the
stuff
voltage
like
and
that.
all that good stuff.
Yeah. So you know, I thought these were really, really cool. And so I picked them up. I thought I'd try them. And I've yet to actually put them on something. Mike. And yes, I saw somebody say, well, Mike just figured these guys out. Yes, you are correct. I just figured them out. And so, you know what? I'm excited about it. And so I thought I'd tell them because, you know what? I'm sure there's other people that don't know about this place. So now I got mine off of eBay, as a matter of fact, is where I found mine. So if you go to eBay and look up We Honest, that's where I got mine from. They're really sharp looking, and it didn't take very long to get here either.
No, I think you got them pretty quick, huh?
I got them very quick, like very.
What are
very
the
quick.
leads like on the bottom, Mike?
Oh,
okay, they're just the magnet wire.
Yeah, it's like a magnet wire, but there's a healthy. Oh, how long is that? It's a healthy 5 inches at least. Good. You know, and then the bottom here, this is the bottom here underneath. There's a little flange right here.
Yeah, for a stop.
For a stop for the tabletop, and then this is all threaded for the for the nut to go on and everything. And this is at least, I don't know, 5/8 of an inch, if not longer than that. If
pretty
you know,
slick.
it's you've got some really good, ability to put
Thread.
some threads in there and stuff like that. So that's one thing that I found.
Huh,
So
that's
anybody
pretty cool.
have anybody questions on that one?
Well, we've had a handful.
Plug and play, LOL. They do offer flashing circuit modules.
They do.
They've got stuff like that. Like I said, yeah, kind of plug and play. They're a boomer, but it's I'm gonna take it a little different direction, and I'm gonna see if I can't use an Arduino. I know. I'm gonna try to develop.
I think I saw Ken Zeski here tonight, so be careful.
Yeah,
using that word.
I know, but I think I'm gonna try to develop my own flashing circuit for it and see. I mean, you have the LED, guidelines there, so I mean, it shouldn't be too terribly difficult to figure that out. But they offer all sorts of different things for it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So then, and speaking of Ken Zeska,
Ooh,
he knows about this. I am going to introduce. This is the world introduction to a brand new company that is just starting to get their feet wet, and this is their very first car, and it's a kit. And it is Ben Central Shops. Pretty cool little play on words, eh?
yeah, right.
Okay. This is an S-scale freight car, 3D printed, Pullman standard 4750 covered hopper.
Wow.
And it is gorgeous. Check this out.
Don't drop it.
Oh, I won't drop it. Trust me. I got to paint this and send it back to him.
That's pretty good detail for 3D print.
And yeah, and the underframe is 3 separate pieces.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's all sorts of different detail pieces. The roof walk is, I don't know if it'll come through real good.
Yeah, just hold it still. Look at that.
It's actually see-through. It actually is pass-through holes. Those are actually individual holes. It's not like a molded thing.
So that's 3D printed.
This is 3D. This is 3D printed by a gentleman by the name of Ben Truesdale. He owns Ben Central Shops, fellow S-scaler, and this is a kit, and this is one of the test kits. This is not in production yet, but it's going to be. It is absolutely gorgeous. This is a car that has been sorely missed in S-scale, and this will be a game changer right here. Now, the cool thing about this is, now this is not one piece body. The roof is separate. The underframe's also. He's just got everything all kind of put in there, right? You get that. You get a little cup, kind of like you get your nacho cheese in at Taco Bell.
Yeah,
and it
has taco sauce right in there.
It has all of your details that you need on the inside of this thing. So here are more details hidden underneath here, and I'm going to try to hold this up. This is one of the hatches, the hatch bottoms
for the bottom, right?
Yep, this is one of the hatch bottoms.
Pull it back towards you, Mike.
There you go. Look at the.
Hold it still.
Trying to hold it still. Move my hand out of the way there. See if it'll. But anyway, you can kind of see. You can see the holes there for the.
Right.
For the, it's focused on this thing right here. So, but you can see the holes for the. To turn the plate and everything on the bottom. So Ben has put a ton of work into this car, right? And this is not an overnight thing where he just kind of drew it up. This has been I'll bet you every bit of a year in the making at least. And the awesome part about it is the end cages are 3D printed. And I'm glad you guys are sitting down. Wait until you see the way these things look. If I can get it out of here without wrecking it.
Don't wreck it with your greasy meat hands.
No, I'm trying not to.
Don't
There we
do
go.
that. So Mark Wines says, put your hand behind it. Put your hand behind it, Mike.
Oh, my hand like this.
Yeah, and then cup it, and then bring it back towards us, and then lay it down. There you go.
I can't hold my hand like that.
Wow, some pretty serious detail there for the
these are the end cages, and these things. I tell you what, I told them right away, I'll take 20.
Yeah. So do you know when these are actually going to hit official production?
No, I do not. He's in the process right now of talking with some 3D printing companies to see if to try to keep the costs down, so that these don't being $300. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. Because that's
outrageous amounts. Yeah,
right.
And I know that there's a handful of these out there. I have one. There's a couple other guys that have them. And what it is we're all going to be painting one up for him and then sending it back to him for him to take to the National S-Scale show. I believe that's in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania this year, if I remember right. I might be wrong. Ken, if you're on here, correct me if I'm wrong, please. Or Dave, one of those guys. So it's really, really, really exciting. I can't wait. I literally am giddy over this car. It was really, really, really neat to see
Mike,
him
for us non-S-scalers, give us just a little taste in regards to, one, what is the best comparable thing that may be out there? And then two, what would an average car of that caliber be, cost-wise?
Well, all right. The closest
I know you did a Pillsbury car a while back, and I don't know if that's along those lines, but give us something that's close. The
closest thing you have is this car, which is the Pullman standard. The
4427?
The 4427 with the low hip 343 rib, the PS2 CD car.
Okay.
This is the closest thing. These were built in, what was it, like the 60s and maybe early 70s. Mostly in the 60s though, but they lasted into the 2000s. There's still some. This is American models.
Okay.
And this is really done nice. I mean, it has brass walkways
like
and
the photo etch.
Yeah, the photo etch brass walkways. It's a really well done car. It's just that you date yourself, because the closer to the more contemporary, more modern era you get, the fewer and fewer and fewer of these you have.
Right.
So if you're in the 70s or early 80s, you're in good shape. Once those 4750s came around, these started getting put into secondary service. You see what I mean?
Right.
What's the cost on something like that? If you were to try to pick one of those up today?
One of these, you can get these for anywhere between, right around between $30 and $50.
Well,
I think
cheaper
they're close
than
to like, yeah, it's there's box cars out there that are in the $50 range. They're ready to run stuff and everything, and these are for the most part ready to run. But you do have to do a little bit of, if you want different colors and you're right, Boomer. That this car does come over 40 years, and the PS 4750, I think, is even more than that, 30 or about the same, 40 or 50 years.
Mike, when you're talking, maybe to help educate some of us like myself, I guess less proficient car detail spotters, since we're talking about details here in this show, right?
Yep.
You talked about the low hip and the different ribs. Can you bring that car back up and kind of
I
show
sure
us
can.
what you're
Well,
talking about? Because
yeah,
some of
yeah.
us new modelers or guys like me who don't even really know, what are you talking about?
Okay, so I saw somebody ask about trucks. Nope. Trucks are on you. Couplers are on you.
Okay.
Okay. Truck wise, in S scale, there's several different manufacturers you can go with. I personally am putting Smoky Mountain Model Works 100-ton truck kits or 70-ton truck kits underneath all my equipment. Otherwise, you can find there's trucks out there from S Helper Services, American Models. Oh man, there's probably a number of them that I don't even know about that but those are the three that I know about right off the top of my head. But now when it comes to low hip, high hip, when you see the car, basically, okay, so if you see this car,
And I'm seeing
and
it.
I'll put the two side by each here. As
Side
a
by
matter of
side.
fact, you know what? This is going to go better this way.
If you do it on the other camera, that would be
You know
really
what? This
handy.
other camera is really going to come in handy when I figure out how to do it the right way.
Well, we got to practice, and
right.
We'll practice on the section crew here.
Okay, so low hip, high hip.
Yeah.
This is a low hip car. That is a high hip car. This is the 4750. Now, the reason this is high and this one is low is if you notice, look at the amount of the bay that you can see. The side is actually the side of the car. These are longer cars.
Yep.
And therefore they don't need to ride and sit so low in order to get a similar amount of capacity into them.
There you go.
So these are a little lower, which allows more capacity here. And then these are longer and allow more capacity due to the length, but they don't need to sit as low. And then when you put them side by side, because I'm good at this, you can see right away the difference in height on the car on the side sills. The one on the Rock Island one is clearly a much lower car.
Yeah, right.
Now, a lot of older generation cars were built like this. Okay, and as time has gone on, they've come like this. However, there are manufacturers such as Magor, made in aluminum. Magor, or however you pronounce it. They made, I believe it was in the 80s, they made an aluminum car that was low hip. So it really, you can really do a lot of research and figure out what cars are what. Now, there was also a 4750 covered hopper that Pullman Standard made that was high hip, but it was a little more modern car. It was like right after this one was made, but same capacity, but it had a higher hip to it. So there's really, if you can do the research on it, it'll really, really, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot
especially
of fun
if you're trying to, be very, I guess, faithful to the prototype, right? So that's what.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a question there from Boomer, that was interesting because we're talking about details, right? On the Rock Island car, or the Rock, the stirrups on either ends are different. Is there any significance with that?
I have absolutely no idea.
There you go. There's the answer.
However, it does appear as if there is a support issue. I'll show this here quick.
And Split Rock says, "Welcome to Hopper Chat."
So here, if you look, this has got a square, or this has got the fancy little angled one, right?
Yep.
And the other one's got the square one, right? Well, if you look at the way it's supported,
yeah, it's got a big angle in there.
It's got a big angle on this side, and this one's square. And then this side's just got a plate to it, and that one's the one that's supported. Now, and it's like that on
the other
side. It's like that on each side of the car.
Huh.
So
Amazing.
why they did that, I have absolutely no idea. But good eye, because honestly, I've never even noticed that.
Thomas Chris says it's a support for the cut lever.
Well, there you have it.
There you
But
go.
why? But why would that constitute a different type of stirrup? That's the question. That's the $50 million question. You know, there you
And
have it.
so, just to point out here, Otter Creek and Rio Grande has learned another railroad thing tonight. So there's two things that have been learned this evening about the prototype and details.
Hey, stick with me, guys. I will ruin all of you.
If you haven't already.
Yeah,
It's too late.
Cried out loud.
It's too late.
But and we'll get to the Amherst stuff when we talk about Amherst. But those are the two things that I had that are the most significant. It's plastic. They're plastic. These are injection molded cars. They're really, really well done. I can't say enough good things about them. I wish they would come out with some more road names, some new road names.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are really, really cool.
Speaking of hashtag not sponsored, Mike, though, but I mean, are those could easily be dipped in isopropyl alcohol and call our good pal up at who's not sponsoring the show at Circus City Decals and
Yep. I mean,
just not saying, just saying.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm not saying
sponsored?
that there are. I'm not saying there's plans for this, but there's plans for this.
There's plans for this. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's you all get an A for covered topper 101 for your first day.
Yeah. Split Rock says stir up rabbit
Stir up
hole.
rabbit hole. There you go.
Start.
But yeah, I thought those were kind of cool things.
Yeah, those. I think that's awesome, Mike. Those grade signals are awesome.
Yeah, I tell you what, these things will take a beating too. They just, man, are these well built? I can't get over how nice they are. So they did a good job hiding the wires with the paint. The wires are there, but the wires are there. You can see the wires, but not unless you really look at them at certain angles, and they're painted black the way everything else is. So they're really.
Well, here comes Nava's question then on it. Is on the crossbucks, we're obviously more familiar with the silver nowadays. Those are all black. When did crossbucks? When were they all black? I know is it going to be 50s era, and then did they offer a silver version?
Thanks, Minnesota, for calling. We'll talk to you later.
That's the end of the show, guys.
All right,
on the line four.
That was a good question, William.
I don't know. It's that actually is a very good question, because it's kind of like regular crossbucks, right? For a long time across the United States, or even stop signs for that matter. For the longest time in the state of Wisconsin, stop signs were yellow. Yeah. For up until a certain time, and then they turned to red, and then the color red was different, and a lot of times they had or like crossbucks had like black and white striping on the pole. It's Otter Creek. I just taught you something else. So almost
we almost learned another thing.
It's getting close.
But there again, that could also be railroad specific.
Sure.
I guess. What they did out east might not be what they're doing in the, I don't know that when it came to crossbucks and grade crossing signals, especially since a lot of them had wigwags.
I was just thinking the same thing. So you go wigwags, you've got different type of, warning, but even the flashing red light, at what point does that surface and start showing up to be relevant as far as the model?
Well, and then you had the flash of the Griswold ones, where you had the stop sign that turned.
That turned
in the middle of it, the stop sign that turned, those Griswold ones. I mean, I've only really seen silver, honestly. That's all I've ever known. So, I like that. So yeah, that's all I got.
That's your hashtag not sponsored.
That's
William,
my hashtag not sponsored.
William, did you have anything that was really getting you excited in terms of products or manufacturers as of late?
I do, and I actually have a couple of them. We will get into them a little bit, but I'll give you a little prequel.
Ooh.
But on the scale car side of things, is the manufacturers PCX 87. They do
Ooh.
extremely nice automobiles. So when you did see Tom Johnson, he had on his railroad these
Yeah.
Neo cars. I'm going to pull one out here. This is a Neo car, and these Neo cars are wicked detailed. I mean, I would say they're probably the best that were ever on the market.
Yeah.
But these things really rival some of the stuff that's out there. And from a cost standpoint, and you can all hold on to your shorts, they're about $26 for a car. And you look at it, you think $26 for a car, that's a lot. If you're doing a small railroad and it sets the scene, it's definitely worth doing. And Burkina is another manufacturer, and they've got these vehicles here that, again, the detail on these things is insane. I mean, it's crazy for what they are. These ones I want to say retail around 30, but at the end of the day, when you are putting a few vehicles on your railroad, I just ordered these ones just to get a look at them. I had seen a guy that brought them to one of our shows, but to be able to get an idea of the detail that these things have, I'll compare them in a little bit and give you guys some close-up photos of them. But those products, in my opinion, PCX and Burkina, are bringing out vehicles that really do change what your scene is going to look like. There's no more of the Hot Wheel cars unless you're an S scale. You guys were jealous, but that's what I would say the latest. And just as a comparison too, we can't forget about #NotSponsored, your buddy Rapido. Rapido did a wagon.
Rapido, yeah.
And if you're spending the money between the two, the Burkina it throttles the Rapido, but I would do not shy away from what they're doing here. I mean, you got wagons. I mean, if you're a 70s modeler, these things just scream, buy me now and worry about the money later.
Shut up and take my money, right?
So that Burkina, can we bring the Burkina Woody wagon back up there? What is that a Caprice or is that a Ford? Which one is that?
So it is if it focuses for you, it's a Chevrolet Caprice. The year on it, I mean, it is marked BRE 1970. Does that mean 1970? I don't think so. I think it's like a 74.
Yeah.
You guys that are from this era might be able to tell a little bit better, but these cars, like I say, you might be able to tell from either whether it's your grill or even.
It looks like my mom and dad's old car, except for theirs was like copper colored on the top instead of green.
Yeah. So we had one exactly like that, but it was the Ford version. I think it was the Ford LTD Country Squire is what we had. It was a wood grained behemoth with a V8 in it. And I'll never forget that car was dangerously fast. I think my dad had it up. He had the speedometer. He was just testing it one day and he's like, "Here, hang on, son." And I'm sitting in the front seat.
Hold the wheel.
I'm 6 years old or whatever. And he had it up to, it was probably 130 miles an hour. And that was crazy.
In a station wagon.
In a station wagon.
That's unbelievable.
Is it Paul Newman used to be a race car driver, and he had a VW wagon, and it was one of the fastest wagons out on the road, but it looked like just a plain Jane, nothing fancy. But I guess if you're a race car driver, you drive a car that's got a motor in it.
Yeah, I suppose.
So your dad, kudos to him for picking a ride that has a little bit more pep to it. I can't seem to get this box open.
It had a V8, that's for sure. That was it was a beast and a half. But yeah,
that's how they get you there, William.
Yeah, it's the box.
I cannot open this thing. Yeah, but I do want to say though, for people that are looking for these on a website side of things, the manufacturers, we were talking to some of the dealers here locally that would normally be able to order these for us, and there's something to do with licensing. So they did do these in cream. They did them in a few different colors. I think even maybe one that was similar to this baby blue. But to be able to get Burkina, it's House of Hobbies, which is out of it's Burbank, California. Is one of the few places I've been able to see get it. And then the other one was Model Car World to only get this green. They are the only ones that did this green. So if you're looking for it, you got to order it overseas. And then when you see what shipping costs for stuff overseas, you better get like 10 of your best friends together and pool in, because it's insane. But to be able to get these particular cars, the Burkina line, there has something to do with Ford and it has something to do with licensing, but they're having a hard time getting them in at our local manufacturers or hobby shops, because I have asked them and they've reached out and just said that there's a little discrepancy. So hopefully they work that out, whatever the issue may be.
You're bound and determined to get that open, aren't you?
I was trying not to tear the box.
Did
you
you ever think about, is there some tape on it or something?
No, there's no tape. I've had this open, Mike. If you believe it or not. Well, I'll look at trying to open it a little bit. There we go.
Hey.
Oh, and as the minute I put pan away.
Well, I just was really just going to give you a closer up or a comparison. Rapido, I think, did a great job. I did put a little black in the front of this particular grill. But the details on a car like this, to be able to have that 70s era car, it's fantastic. I'm just amazed that they came out with such nice stuff. I wish they'd get away from doing these Caprices or these Impalas. Neo did them. Classic Metalworks did them. There's just a whole bunch of manufacturers that have done that same car, and it might just because they all share the license or something. I don't know. But that's my hashtag not sponsored, and I actually got the box open.
Yeah, outstanding. We'll let you package that up. Thanks for sharing. I'm gonna do a bit of a screen share here. So, just saw something interesting. I like every other week I get a mailer from Walthers, and this was something that I didn't know was coming out, and I'm sure most of the section crew knew about this, but the proto line that they're in HO scale, they are releasing or have released new EMD SD45s. And I didn't know anything about this, but it was interesting because of the road names that they had brought out. And they say that they're not going to run these again. So this is a limited run of these locomotives. They do come with ESU Loc Sound or DC per the Walthers, standard fare. But the road names that they are coming out with on these are, which I thought was interesting, were the Great Northern, the Penn Central. Those kind of look pretty awesome. And then the Milwaukee roads down here. They were bringing out 10, 14, and 13. So, and 9.
And 9.
So, yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know that many companies bring out the Milwaukee Road 45s or have done them. I can't remember, but it was just interesting. And I know that there in our neck of the woods, there's been a lot of controversy about SD 45s and Wisconsin Central. And I think the ones that they have here were the old Santa Fe units that they had up there. But like I said here, they're discontinued when they're sold out. So get them now while they're still available. Let's see. And then the second thing is also from Walthers. I thought it was kind of interesting. It's the national, what do they call it? The National Modeling NMRBO 23, the National Model Railroad Build-Off. Have you guys ever heard of this?
No.
So Walthers puts on a contest, and let me work my technology here.
A couple of...
Yeah. And this was interesting because I know in England they had like a TV show, right? I think Kathy Millett was on it, and they essentially have this contest where you build a diorama, model, or a module, and they will give prizes to the winners. And they had 4 different categories. They had a youth class, and then an adult class, an HO and N scale, and a freestyle class. But some of the prizes that they're giving out, up to $2,000 cash prizes, like for the winner. And all you have to do is build a 2-foot by 4-foot scene. I thought that was pretty interesting. And it all begins March 1st. So I just thought it was something cool to pass along to the section crew.
Are you going to do it?
Am I going to do it? No, I'm not going to do it this year, but I'd be interested to see if anyone out of the section crew would be participating in that this year. That would be something cool, and we'd love to see your progress on it. That's for sure. But it's really cool that they're doing these kind of modeling contests where you can get pretty substantial prizes. So that's pretty much what I had, and that was just me thumbing through my good old Walther's, mailer that everyone gets every other week. So it's kind of interesting. So yeah,
That's
all
cool.
right. That's neat. That's real neat. So let's talking about locomotives, talking about SD45s. William, you in a lot of the videos that you've done on your channel, you've showcased adding details to locomotives. And it's just first of all, it's been incredible. If anyone hasn't seen William's videos on this, go check them out. They're fantastic. He demonstrates, exactly how to create an effect or, add a prototype detail very easily. So, first of all, check that out. But the second thing is, what's your process, or how do you get started in taking a locomotive and saying, hey, we got to add some stuff to that. We got to make it better.
Well, I think a big part of it ends up being the RTR stuff that's out there that we want to have in Genesis, right? So just an example, like the GP35s that they did, you could buy an RTR for a reasonable price, but it didn't have the MU hoses, it didn't have plows, it didn't have, added details. It might not even have the horn in the right place. So for my thought process is to look at it and say, if I like modeling, and I think one thing that we don't maybe do enough of sometimes is sit down and actually put the time in and create something that nobody else would have. And that's what really kind of intrigued me. I mean, hence the SDL39, right?
Yeah,
so I get the SDL39s, and they were brass, they were overland. It took me 20 years to get one. And then I finally get one, and then you finally, detail the thing all up the way you like it. And that's when Scale Trains comes out with theirs, right? So that to me is are you going to take a step to get something that you can't get anywhere else? And in this particular example, I'm going to grab this is a locomotive that is a GP35. It's a Great Northern locomotive. That's its heritage. And this particular unit, it didn't have the plow. It didn't have the MU hoses. This one has ground lights that I end up putting in it. I end up chipping and putting a little bit of orange on it to reference, and even around the fan. The Great Northern orange is showing through. I did manufacture and come up with my own 3-window winterization. It's not great. It's just actually one that I trimmed off and then created the 3rd window. And then Athearn came out with you being able to buy the 3rd window. So anybody that has got that detail, you're welcome.
Man.
But that's the type of stuff that I like looking at, and I kind of start to dive into. Now, I did say this unit has ground lights. It's kind of tough to see, but you can see that little light spot right underneath there. That is one of those Pico LEDs. And I use Evans Designs, who provides a very good service just in regards to the pre-soldered LEDs. And I have bought my own magnet wire and soldered my own LEDs. But go with the company that already pre-does them. There's another one that it's Lighthouse. You type out Lighthouse LEDs, and they provide these little tiny LEDs. You can buy ones that are on eBay and that are extremely cheap, but a lot of times I've found is that the leads aren't always necessarily done that well, and they'll pop off. But I hide these things in there really behind the jack, and it's not right in the exact location of where it needs to be, but the details themselves, you're trying to give the effect and the illusion that ground light is there. Are you really going to see the little detail? Now, Nick Santo, who does the Decoder Buddy, he had actually produced a bunch of little printed ones, and he sent me a few of those, and I've used them. They work pretty good. You can drill them out and then just put the LED right into the clear kind of plastic and then paint it black. And once you paint it black, that plastic illuminates, and you've got yourself a nice little actual accent light. This particular unit doesn't have it, but I did put it on one of the other units that I did. But to answer your question on that, Andy, is taking locomotives just that one step further. I mean, that's really what I'm doing. This Milwaukee Road MP15, this is the same thing. It does have a ground light. In this case, it is in the right location, per the prototype, but I don't have the actual housing there. The LED is actually just kind of tucked up underneath. And what I'm going to do to give you guys a little bit better look at that, I can real quick, I'm going to pull this up if I can present.
Yeah.
I'm going to share my screen.
So while we're going through that, so do you search out, so we talk about, trying to match things to the prototype. What sources do you use to get your information? So like, is it books? Is it, pictures? How, like, where do you get all your stuff from or do you, what do you do to get the locations and all these other types of details to put on a locomotive?
The majority of them is obviously we research and we use railroad picture archives online. That's where the majority of my photos come from.
Okay.
But for these, I use Diesel Era. Diesel Era does such a nice job really detailing and giving a lot of shots of the locomotives.
Yeah.
Now, in the case of the MP15, it was kind of random, but if you look through all of the Diesel Era magazines, all of the shots in the entire magazine are of the front of the locomotive. So just to give an idea, every shot is this 3/4 roster shot. This is the picture that you see, every one of them. Anybody want to see what the back of the unit looks like? And maybe they didn't take pictures of it very often, but that was the one downfall there. So then it turns into, I go on eBay and I start searching slides, and I search sold slides or new slides, and I start looking for MP15 Milwaukee Road. And I know some of them say not to copy them, but I'm not sharing them with anybody. I'm using it for reference, and I do save those into a folder of a particular unit. And I always try to find the road number. And if I can find the road number, and even better, if I can find the year of that unit, that's what I try to get myself to when I'm weathering these. And it's hard to see in the light here, but I mean, I've got even just a little bit of fuel spilled on these tanks,
Nice.
And some of those type of details that reference the actual prototype.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
So there's a question here, and I'm just going to continue to bother you so you can never share your screen. From Are You a Train Man too? It says, William, what do you put on the frame to keep the ground light from grounding out on the metal frame?
I know it seems weird, but it's the super glue that I actually hold it in there with, that it's floating. And once it hardens, that is the insulator. The metal isn't touching the actual chassis. I put a puddle of super glue down, and then I use it's the orange or yellow. Somebody's gonna have to correct me on this. Is it Tapcon or what's the name of that tape?
Yeah, it's Kapton.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Tapcon is an actual screw that you run into cement.
Cement, right?
Yeah, but so Kapton tape that holds it to be able to keep it in place, to be able to then get that where it's at. So I've never had an LED burn out, and as I said, you can see just that little tiny white dot is the LED. And I have done this on numerous locomotives. And then if it does ever have the little ground light there, my SDL 39s do. I just took a Dremel tool and I chiseled out the back of the light, and then just put it in the place, and it's close enough. It's not right in the housing, but it lights up just that bottom of the housing because of the way it's lit.
Oh, that's really cool.
Nobody's going to see that anyway.
Right. That's exactly it.
Right. That's outstanding.
Now, just one little point of reference. If I remember right, there's a bulb right underneath the radiator. There's a bulb right in there that illuminates the see-through pass-through thing part, the grill on the front. I think so. I believe so. Yeah. Not a lot of, it's almost never on. Hardly ever see it. But sometimes if you see these at night, you can see there's a light coming from inside the engine on those. It's actually kind of neat. Something else for you to play with.
Well, just before we go away from looking at some of the locomotives, I do want to just touch on your original question, Andy, when you mentioned why you'd want to even spend this type of time on something like this. Is because like this, they came out with the M&S RTR just this last month from Athearn.
Yep.
The M&S has those, and the M&S scheme is going to be brand new. It's going to be new from, I think it's 66 is when the M&S got these. But I started into it, and I already had a Soo line one that was already in the process of turning into an M&S unit. So then the grabs were obviously done. The shells are nice. I liked the grill. The spark arresters were good. Everything that Athearn had done on the Soo line units is correct to what the Soo line or the M&S had. It has the square tanks. It has the correct trucks. But I started looking at the detail and realized that in this application, like the chain link that goes between the front on the grab, that chain links that are there, the Athearn version has 4 big loops, which Mike, you know, there's more than 4 chain loops or chain links on a chain, right?
Right.
You imagine the size of that chain if it was just those. So I did put a brass
like on
chain on.
Giant ocean liner boat anchor.
Yeah, it would be hefty.
Yeah, that's pretty beefy stuff.
But to be able to then look at it, I blanked out the windows the way the M&S would have blanked them out. And then obviously on the end, I did the KB models grill. And then also the KB models, it has the little louvers and the fan inside there as well. So overall, the Locomotive itself, it's gone well beyond where I thought I would take this. I thought, oh, you know, I'll just strip it and then paint it blue. Well, once I stripped it, I thought, well, I might as well blank out the windows. Okay, blanked out the windows, and then it rabbit holed. I just started doing all kinds of other stuff to it, bending my own grabs, and the plastic ones are probably fine, but how many of you have painted the plastic grabs, had them flex, and it'll chip or flake or crack? I just thought these are way more precise, and they're not bending and flexing on me, so I ended up going this route. But that's a good reason, in my opinion, why you detail a Locomotive. Ready-to-run Locomotives are pretty good, but these things are taking them just that little bit further if you like this type of stuff. Most people aren't going to strip a Locomotive and go this far.
When you go to paint that, is there going to be any red on it? Or is this just going to be the blue and the white?
That's a good question, I guess. So if you're...
The red's like the last part of the M&S paint scheme, right? That's like the last...
Well, so the red appeared on one Locomotive. It was number 31. They did the red on the end and the red on the or the red on the rear and the red on the face. That was only on one of the SW1200s.
Oh, okay.
So these units here, the 1500s only were in blue. They went to white. They were together, and then obviously once they moved on down the line, I don't know what happened to them after they left the Soo line. But gotcha. on a truck detail for you guys, you know, you guys, Mike, you're gonna have to tell me what are the chains used for?
They're just Locomotive chains. What happens is if you can't make a coupling, and you can't tie onto a car, you can actually take the chain. There's a giant hook on each end. One's a giant loop, and then one is actually like a hook, a big hook. And what we've done in the past, you're not allowed to do this anymore, but back when I was still a conductor and beginning engineer, if you couldn't get say trying to make a joint in a curve,
sure,
you would actually take that chain and lift up the pin lifter or the knuckle pin, put the hook on one end on one knuckle pin and loop it around, and then put that in the knuckle pin of the engine. So one's on the car, one's on the engine, and you literally just really slowly just drag the car out to a place you can actually couple up to it using the chain. And you're not allowed to do that anymore. So, what happened to William?
I don't know.
He was clicking on things, and now all of a sudden, there's no William.
He went away.
William, come back. Hello. No.
He gone.
He's gone. So yeah, that's what they would be used for, is the Locomotive chains are usually used for assisting in trying to make a coupling or getting a car to where it can be coupled up to. And send him a message.
Yeah, I'm gonna send him a quick message here.
He's wait a minute! Hey, there he is.
Smart fella.
Hot dog! Look at that.
You tell somebody to close that window.
Yeah,
I said get him out of here. He's done.
So, did you hear my explanation or no?
Yes, I got you all the way right up to be able to pull a car back on, and that's the other thing too on trucks is adding the re-railers. The Soo line used them all the time, but those re-railers, they'd be hanging somewhere on the car body. they might be the Soo line painted them yellow, so they're pretty obvious to see. But I've got some that they're right on the side of the truck. They have a couple of hooks that are up underneath there, and they're just hanging them on there. But Mike, even from an engineer's perspective, how often do you using those re-railers and some of those type of things that, I mean, a Locomotive has them. Are you using them?
Never.
So it's
I
decorative.
haven't seen an engine with a re-railer on it in probably 20 years.
Oh man,
that is an old school thing.
Okay.
Nowadays, the section crew comes up. They've got a truck.
hey, the section crew.
Yep, the section guys come up. They've got a truck. They've got the re-railing frogs, and the car department comes up and they have re-railing frogs. Yeah, you're not re-railing your own equipment because there's other people to take care of doing that. You know, you may assist with it, but you're not going to be doing any of it. Yeah, that's they don't want you doing that, so they don't equip engines with re-railing frogs anymore.
Have either of you guys used the KV models or handled much
Yes.
with the etched metal?
Yeah,
I have not.
yes.
Do they have a lot of that in S scale, Mike?
No, they have nothing in S scale. I've been trying to work with them I've been trying to get them to do an S scale version of their SW1200 stuff, and he wants a shell, and I don't know that I have a shell that I can send him so he can make it the right size and stuff.
But anybody that's even considering some of those subtle details, I mean, it would be nice if you could get yourself into the S scale line, and not just KV models. If there's other guys out there doing the etching stuff, to be able to provide these type of details. I mean, even the windshield wipers that are on here, you can use them for locomotives, but I've used them for freight cars, or not freight cars, street vehicles, the pedestrian vehicles.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's a subtle little detail, and it goes a long way. I've even saved the metal around the outside. I'm going to pull a Luke Lemons on this one. I've saved this metal on the outside, and I cut it up, and I use it for license plates. So I lay my license plates. I'll just cut them into little squares, and then I lay the license plate on there, and then glue it on the car.
I use the metal as well for like mileage signs that hang off of posts and stuff like that for like mile markers along the right of way. So, but I went through and I wanted to, while William's bringing that up, I had an example of the KV stuff that I'm putting together, but can't seem to find what I was looking for in my project box here.
The really nice thing about the KV stuff is, like, for their SW1200s and the 1500 stuff, is you can put those louvers open or angle those louvers on the front radiator intake and see the fan on the inside.
Right.
You know, they have that fan detail in there, which you would see, you know, all the time, because that's the air intake, you know. So
right, so you can see.
Those are cool.
Yeah, this is for a U33C, that Milwaukee Road U33C that I'm doing. And I got it's an Atlas model, and I got all sorts of KV stuff that the photo etch that are putting on it. It's just amazing stuff.
Well, these two actual grates, or I guess grills, that are on top of the radiator, these two were actually KV models. They were MP15 grills that I bent up and created because the person I bought it from had knocked them off. And
there you go.
They were big enough, and I thought, Andy, you just held up, I don't know what model that one was off of, but it looked just like that. But I just cut it up, bent the ends, and ends up fitting right on there, and it replaced those two grills on this particular locomotive.
Yeah, it works perfect.
I mean, it's a little intimidating, I think, to start out with cutting these. A phrase I'm going to steal from Luke is that it's like cutting butterfly wings, because it's so delicate, and it doesn't take much, and you don't need to hammer or press on them because you can bend the little tabs. But once you start to get that art down, it's a fun one to use.
Yeah, it's really cool. Cool trick, that's for sure. So you have a screen up here. Let's take a look.
And what I was going to show you guys, it just briefly, was the underside to see it real close. That was this guy here. that shows up, you can see under here, here's the LED.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And it's just tucked up in there. I mean, that's not anything that you can see I've mitered or kind of ground this out with the Dremel tool, and then it's in a puddle of glue, and then I set the LED in there, and then just to see the lit version, you can see obviously it illuminates, and it's nice. This is an
That's
ESU
really
decoder,
cool.
so I can dim it down enough to be able to, set the illumination value so it's not screaming in your face. This one looks
Right.
bright because the camera picked it up a lot brighter, but I put these things down very, very low. LEDs do need enough power that if they go too low, they kind of start to flicker or they just go off.
Yep.
But you can get them things down and dialed in where I like to see them even during the daytime, but I don't necessarily need them to be screaming that this is a bright image. So an example here is the thumbnail that you guys had. I want to say that was from a show that we did with some of the other guys.
Operations.
Yep.
So-
So that was operations. Yep.
Yep, everything that's in this shot is all illuminated just by the LEDs of the locomotive headlight on the sides, and then here, and I have one more engine sitting just behind that's kind of raking through to light it up a little bit, but just very subtle effects that can really go a long way. I had another one here, the SDL 39s that I had mentioned. This isn't the greatest photo, but it gives you the idea that I ended up doing the number boards to illuminate those. These Pico LEDs, they go a long way. It's such a subtle little tiny thing, but you can glue them in. I did do a video, as Andy mentioned, showing you how this entire unit got lit. I have the little step lights and stuff like that on the front of the unit that I think ends up being shown a little bit better in these.
Oh my God.
Now, these are all three. Those are all Overlands. This is prior to scale trains coming out. But Aaron Hines or Henny used to make a rotating beacon. It was the RB4 rotating beacon.
Yes. Yeah.
Rapido has come out with those. So if you're looking for the Milwaukee Road correct beacon, Rapido has that as a part that you can order. And I've personally not used the Rapido ones yet, but I know a few people that have, and they like them.
I have my SW1200 for my Farland terminal. I put that one in there. The Rapido one in it. It's awesome.
And the size on that, I mean, S scale is a little bit different, but I was curious as to if it would work well in a HO.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the little circuit board for it is maybe 3/8 of an inch by 3/8 of an inch, so it's just a little tiny square thing.
Now here's an example that I was showing before. Now this is one that I tucked it up underneath, and you can see the actual light housing right here.
Yeah,
that light housing on the one on the left, 586, it's behind, and now the one that you can see on 589, that ground light is chiseled in there. It's a little intense from the camera. It's probably a little bit brighter. I'd like it to be more like 586.
Yeah. Right.
But you kind of get the idea. Some of those little tiny details. The one on the right has 19 LEDs in it.
wow.
Oh my gosh.
So that I got a little carried away on that. I think I've trimmed it down a little bit more, where I just put one down in the front. I used to put one where each light was. I would just glue it right to its location. Anybody that's looking at making class lights or doing that, there's a 7, or it's a, I want to say it's, is it? I'm not even going to quote the millimeter on it at the moment, but I use fiber optic, and I cut the fiber optic up and create the actual lens.
The lens, right?
Yep. And you can take and to do headlights, I take a lighter, and I can light the lighter and then put it up to the flame, and it'll bulb out and create the bulb for the lenses that I use in the headlights.
Huh.
But some of those type of details, I feel like they can go a long way if you just do some of those little tiny tricks. Now here's an SW1200. This is a Rapido unit. My dad, I'd done a video on this. This was rolled up. That screen on the end is rolled up tissue paper. I feel like when you get close
That's
to
so
stuff,
cool.
That's ridiculous.
when
That's
you get
so cool.
when you get this close, we're really getting close. Obviously, here now, if we were viewing this as a modeler, our eyeball is about 2 inches away from the model. So this says a lot, I think, to Rapido's details and the stuff that they did. But adding some of those little extra details to me is what kind of takes it to that next level.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'm going to give you one more here. This is a detail. This is not my model, but this is North Metro Modelers. Jake, I believe this was his locomotive set. We were at one of their tours and he added these. I don't know what they are, Mike. Is this an antenna? These skates? I don't know what this part is.
Let's see if it's BNSF. Those could potentially be antennas of some sort. I'm not 100% sure what exactly those are on BNSF units.
But I pulled this one up.
Could be like a cluster, an antenna cluster of some sort for like remote operations, maybe. I don't know.
And I know the skate on top is an antenna. I just didn't know what those things were on the sides. But my point in bringing this photo up was this is a subtle detail. Everything else is all factory. He weathered it, of course, but he added those little details. He added them on this locomotive as well. And I believe he even added it to his third unit. Adding just subtle little things like that to set your model apart. These things are pretty darn good right out of the box. But when you take it that next level, I think, is adding something that makes it unique. He said it was right to the unit number. And when you're doing it to the prototype, it becomes more believable. And I think he did a nice job with that. And I just wanted to point out details that are just very little, doesn't take much, and it can go a long way.
Hey, there was a question you threw up there.
I did. I threw a couple of them up.
Yeah, I got an answer for you.
Okay.
Now I'm going to try to do this. All right. Now, let me get back to here. We're going to go, here. And, here. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. The question was, what do the numbers mean on the bottom and right down here on the battery box? Yeah. Okay. The Milwaukee Road, a lot of railroads classify their locomotives, and they give themselves their locomotives a specific class. So the Milwaukee Roads are actually pretty simple to understand. This is actually a battery box door off of I believe it's off of a GP38-2 or something along those lines that's been put on an SD40-2 for whatever reason. But the 30 is for the amount of horsepower that it is. This is a 3,000 horsepower locomotive. So this is 30. The E stands for Electromotive Division of General Motors. So this is an EMD. The RS is road switcher. And the 6 is the number of axles. So that is exactly, and then, so like the only ones, like on the Milwaukee Road, as far as I know, the only engines that have a number after like ERS or whatever, like see how it says 20 here underneath there, that's 2,000 horsepower electromotive road switcher. That's how you know it came off of a GP38-2 because it does not have the -6. Only 6-axle locomotives got the -6. Otherwise, there was just a plain like horsepower and then the manufacturer. And then I'm going to see if I can't find another example there I suppose I lost my share, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I had a different example here. See if it'll still come up. That is the gist of what that really came out for.
There's been a lot of information in this show tonight. This has been almost like a master class on railroading and model railroading so far. This has been really, really jam-packed full of information. So this is really good.
I have one that I have another one here if I can, if I may, please.
Yeah, by all means.
Let me see.
I'm just the producer.
All right, here we go. This is a GE. This is a U23B. Okay. So as you can see underneath here, it says 22.5. Just 2250 horsepower is what it's got. The G stands for General Electric, RS, road switcher. So if you didn't know what this was, but by looking at it, and you saw a Milwaukee Road engine go by, you can just look at this number underneath here and say, oh, that's a GE, and it's a road switcher, and it's obviously it's a 4-axle. But then you could also see the horsepower here, and that's it. So That's what those numbers underneath here on the Milwaukee Road meant. Other railroads like the Union Pacific and some of these other railroads, they come up with some really, really crazy classification numbers for their, like it might be an SD70. It might not even say SD70 on the side of it. It might be some kind of, weird QRP 72-8 or whatever the heck it is. But those are, it's really kind of neat being able to go out and see some of this stuff,
Yeah.
Well, in addition to that too, Mike, and I got to give kudos to the thread because I learn more from the chatter that happens sometimes in the thread because.
Right.
Mike,
right.
I mean, you're a locomotive engineer. You give us a perspective that we can't get. And then you read some of the comments that these guys are in there, like the PTC. That's what those things were up on the cab.
Probably. I don't get PTC. I don't have PTC.
No, but that's understandable. But what's cool is that these guys can chime in real time and at least,
absolutely.
at least straighten us out. They listen to those two guys yammering on. They didn't even get the answer right.
There's so many different like antenna clusters for that PTC stuff. One engine,
sure,
you could have 5 of the same exact model engine and 5 different looking antenna setups. It all depends on what box they grab on the day when they're putting it in.
That's the truth. So that was a really good. I guess. Do you have any other things that you wanted to share about locomotives, William?
No, that really kind of concludes as far as locomotives. There's so many rabbit holes we could run down. I just wanted to kind of focus on some of the more details like the LEDs and stuff. But before we continue much further, and I don't know if we're going to be able to successfully pull this off, but I'd like to actually reach out to the chat itself and see. We're at 62 likes right now out of 147 watchers. If that hits 100, I say we give something away at the end of the show. And I'm willing to give away a car. I mean, maybe not my car out in the garage, but what do you guys think? If we could hit 100, 100 likes, we give something away.
We give something away tonight if we hit 100 likes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's already got up to 67. We gained 4 just by saying that. What do you think?
Yeah.
We hit 100 likes. I think we should give something away.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
one of the
that's a good
cars
idea.
either I've detailed or a car that I've got, I'm willing to ship it out if we hit 100 likes.
Okay.
We're at 80. Look at that. 82.
Look at
keep her
this.
going, boys.
Yeah.
I think we can get
this
there.
is great.
But anyways, let you carry on with the show. We're done with the locomotive details.
Yeah, very good. So I guess to build on that, you must be present to win, right? So what we'll do is we'll draw from the live chat later on in the show. So that's how we're going to keep all you guys here, right? That's the key.
Yeah.
That's the key. But we'll do.
You're at 99, Andy.
I don't believe it.
102. We did it.
102.
All right. I will give a car away. So
we're giving a car away tonight at the end of the show. Boom. Otter Creek and Rio Grande says so.
It's going to be a Tyco Baby Ruth boxcar.
It's going to be. Hey, free is free.
Free is free, right?
Free is free. Yep, there it is. 102. Okay, so tonight we got through the locomotives piece. I did want to talk just briefly about the Amherst show before we get into modeling fun with Mike, Andy, and William. So let's just talk about this. Amherst. Mike, did you see anything from Amherst, or do you want to talk about anything from Amherst? Any announcements that really got you excited or upset?
Well, I wouldn't say upset. I'm not saying I'm upset about it. I understand where they're coming from with it, but Scale Trains I was just about to pull this up, so give me a second. Scale Trains has announced a 55-ton whale belly 2-bay hopper in S scale. Now it's a really sharp looking car. Let me just.
Okay, you gonna pull it up for us?
Yeah, I'm working on it. Oh, what the heck did this thing do? You know what?
I don't know.
I am really getting tired of the interweb.
The internet is tough. It's not the easiest thing in the world.
Is nobody going to say user on this?
What's that?
Mike.
Okay. Yeah, it's all user error.
Oh,
All
the
right, here.
PEBCAC error problem exists between keyboard and chair.
Uh-huh. Okay, here it is. Here, these are the cars.
Oh, that's a beaut.
It is actually a beaut. And now it's my understanding that this was a car that was slated to be produced, but never really made it to market. So this is a new car. Tooling is stuff that they had the tooling. They got the tooling when they got them from MTH and stuff. And it's basically an East Coast car. And a lot of these were gone by the 70s. By the time the 70s came around, a lot of these cars were either relegated to maintenance away service or scrapped or whatever. But they're beautiful cars. Take a look at a little closer up view of them. I mean,
Wow.
they really did do a great job, and they will have the scale wheels.
But those couplers, those are beauties.
Yeah, you're going to be able to take those off, but that's the way a scale is. You get the car like this, and this is the high rail version, or the American Flyer version of it.
Oh, so there is a version that'll have the right couplers on it?
I'm not 100% sure, but yes, I'm under the assumption that they will have them in scale wheels also, as well as the American Flyer wheels. But the car itself is gorgeous. It's really, really is a nice car. I believe these were actually built for the Norfolk Western and kind of went all over the place. So, and actually for a price, it's kind of comparable for HO scale when it comes to a car, really. $55 is really not that horrible for a ready to run piece of equipment. It's just, I would have liked to have seen them do something a little more contemporary, but I understand why they're coming out with this. And you know what, it makes a lot of sense what they're doing with this. And I really hope that they are, that this becomes a successful sellout car for them.
Mike, can you speak to just real briefly, what is it undertaking to convert that coupler? I mean, or just the trucks? I mean, is that a process?
No, it's not really that bad. Basically, you take yeah. What's that?
I did my air quotes. Is that a process?
Quote unquote process, yeah. All the cars that I ever get when I have trucks like this and couplers like this is I just simply take the trucks off. I take the I call it the Hulk hand, because it looks like those, those big Hulk hands.
Absolutely.
So you take the Hulk hand coupler off, and then on the car body itself, it should be pre-drilled someplace for a Katy coupler box.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. All right,
yep.
All right.
Now there may be a small rectangular. And I'm not sure if these have it or not. I'm trying to see. There may be a small rectangular square underneath here on the bolster that actually raises the car body up enough to clear these big pizza cutter flanges.
Okay, okay.
So that you can take out, and then that drops the bolster and the car height down to a scale size when you put the scale wheels on. And these wheels, just like any other truck, the wheels pop out and you put them back in. It's the scale wheels back in. So it's really not that difficult. You could do a car like this in like probably 10, 15 minutes and have it done and be on your merry way. But the important part is the car itself, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And that's the important thing, is that this is actually a new car for S scale, and so I hope it sells out. Myself personally, I'm not sure if I'm going to buy any because I don't really have a use for any of them. But yeah, it's a good car. It's a really nice looking car. They did a great job with it.
Well, let me ask you one more question before you close out of this, and we're going to continue talking about the Hulk hands. For them to come out with a coupler in a car like this, it's set up this way. It says to me that there's more people in the market that use that style of truck and coupler setup. Is that true?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
that is one of the hurdles that you have, not only in S scale, but also in O scale. You have the same situation in 2-rail O that you do in 2-rail S, that you have, or in scale S. The You have a lot of the American Flyer people, the 3-rail people, stuff like that. That's what this kind of caters to. That's why these flanges are so much bigger, is because they need to be for the rail and stuff like that. But yet, they are adaptable to scale. The car itself is scale. So that's one of the reasons why companies have a little issue with getting into the market, is because of the fact that they do have to cater
Right
to more than one demographic in the scale.
Yeah. It's an
So
interesting point. They kind of have
yeah,
to hedge their bets with a new release, right?
right. And
Yeah.
then matter of fact, in S scale, you actually have 3. You have the scale guys like myself that wants, their scale stuff. Then you have the American Flyer guys who, that's exactly it. The old American Flyer stuff where you get a car and it's a hopper. It doesn't have any real prototype. It just looks like a hopper with some whatever paint on it and everything. Then you have the guys, and we call them, they're called high rail. And what it is they have the American Flyer wheels and knuckles, but everything else is scale. Don't ask me. I don't know. I don't get that. But
That's bizarre.
it is bizarre, but it is a real thing. So, you kind of have to cater to all 3, and so, thus things cater closer to the transition era stuff than more contemporary things. But hopefully that'll start to change with scale trains. Like I said, maybe the next release will be something more contemporary. So
this is an interesting comment here from Around the Layout podcast. It says, are there really enough S scalers to break them into demographics?
yeah,
Yeah. That may have
absolutely.
been a tongue-in-cheek comment, but I think it's a kind of important to say that, there is some, I guess, fragmenting of that scale, and there's quite a few people in each of the fragments that kind of make it all up.
It's frustrating because of it, because of the fragmentation that there is, but at the same time, it's very interesting because there are a lot of things that are produced, or some things that are produced that you really can translate into scale if you just use a little bit of your imagination and a little bit of modeling skill.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff there's more stuff out there available than what people think there is. It's not necessarily your grandfather's train
right.
set. It's not like that. So it really, there are. So wish there was more scale guys, but in time.
Oh, I was gonna say there are guys that I've seen posting stuff. That Paul Batowski was doing some S scale stuff, and I know it's a lot of scratch building, but the work that he's been doing it's insane. I mean, he does nice work in HO, but it's cool to see in S.
He's been stripping like boxcars and rebuilding boxcars, and I'm just sitting there going, "Come on, just enough already." I'm not quite there yet, but I need to get to where he's at, because that stuff is awesome.
But he's not even Mike. He's not a traditional S scaler. I know him as an HO guy.
Oh yeah. I've talked to a couple of guys already that have dipped their toe into the S scale waters, and I've been working on Heath a little bit to see if I can't get him to try to dip his toe into it, and put one up right next to his N scale stuff. But we'll see how that all goes. But that's
your Amherst.
That's my Amherst, whatever you want to call it, report. My takeaway. And Scale Trains did announce, since we're on them, I don't know if you want to do the rest of Scale Trains, but Scale Trains did announce a couple of other things in HO scale.
They did.
Yeah. Do you have that up? You don't have that up, do you?
I don't. I'm hashtag not prepared.
All right.
Well, the
Poss-
thread was talking about it briefly, but I do have to say while you're on the Amherst thing that Heath, Humanity Junction, he
Yeah.
did a live stream. And in my opinion, if you didn't have the opportunity to attend it, that sure was a different way to do it. He had a microphone with him. He went around, talked to different people, but it was almost like you're walking, first person view and checking out a lot of stuff at the show. And I think he did a nice job just covering it. But at the same time, it gives those people that didn't know what Amherst was like a good taste of how big that show is.
Yeah, the thing's huge. Here's the rest of what they did. Scale Trains came out with a
coil car, right?
They came out with a really neat looking coil car. That thing looks really sharp.
It is nice.
That is very, very, very cool. And I'm not sure. $52.99 MSRP is that's not horrible.
No.
And
that's for their rivet counter line too, correct?
Yes, that's a rivet counter. And this one has mismatched hoods, so you have a Santa Fe hood with a BNSF, with a Santa Fe quality with a BNSF hood on there. Then they also came out with the ES 44 ACs. It looks like that's a new release in several different road names. Some more some more heritage units. Norfolk Southern, Iowa Interstate. When was the last time somebody did Iowa Interstate? That's a really cool one. I like to see that one. CN CSX. Then there's been a little controversy about this caboose.
Really?
Little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Cabooses are all the rage lately. It seems like everyone, it's like...
I'm going to buy one of each.
Now, here's the thing. This is a Kit Classics type thing. Yeah. So what can you equate Kit Classics to? It's kind of similar to the old Athearn Blue Box, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, you're getting what you're getting, right? You're getting what you're getting. So, I believe this is based off of a Santa Fe design, but they came out with it in all sort of Southern Pacific, Mopac, Milwaukee Road.
Oh, that's the one I was waiting for.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did it.
This one actually kind of looks a little bit, it actually looks a little bit like an old drover's caboose that the Milwaukee Road used to have.
It does. You are right.
It is very similar to the old drover's caboose that the Milwaukee used to have. Now, how close to a drover's, or could you use this as the basis to make a drover's caboose? I'd be really interested to see if somebody that models an HO that is willing to try to see how they do with it. That I would love to see that, because those drover's cabooses were cool. And if you don't know what a drover's caboose was, it was basically it's a caboose, but it was designed, if I remember right, they were designed to carry the cattle hands with that accompanied like livestock.
The livestock trains?
Yeah, with the livestock stuff. And it was for a place, they had a compartment in here for the escorts for the livestock that were in the caboose, if I remember right. But then, Rio Grande, the Q, they had Burlington, and CP. So, I mean, it's a very interesting announcements by Scale Trains. Now, did they do the same announcement in N Scale? Yeah, it looks kind of like it, hey? Yeah, they had the coil car in N Scale.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was what Scale Trains did. That's one of the few things that I know about announcements from the show. So
yeah, and I noticed that, and I won't bring it up on screen here, but the other, at least I'll call it quote unquote big announcement from a major manufacturer was Athearn and their re-release of basically their F units. I know that I did catch them live, and I think it was John Stackpole was going over how they retooled the F units, and that was pretty interesting, because the F unit's been a staple of Athearn for decades, right? That was, everyone got a blue box, F7 or something like that, and basically to see that they're kind of coming out with another version of that, kind of, I don't know, from a nostalgic perspective, it's kind of neat to see. So Athearn did that, and I do believe that Tangent also did a caboose, possibly extension of their IC caboose or some sort of, I guess, version of that as well. And then I think Athearn also brought out those C9 cabooses from Union Pacific, but I can't be 100% sure. I guess my personal take was the best part of Amherst was being able to stay at home and watch it all on Humanity Junction's channel. So it was neat to see. Looked like a lot of train shows that I've attended here in the Midwest, just on a bigger scale. So it was pretty cool to see, and I want thank Heath for putting that all together. And if you guys haven't seen it, you should definitely check him out at Humanity Junction. Those are pretty cool series of videos that he did. So William, I know you've been kind of sitting there bringing up books and all that good stuff, looking at some stuff in the background there.
I was looking to see if I could find that caboose, but I didn't.
Anything from Amherst trip your trigger, or not so much?
No, not really. I mean, I looked at, like I said, release-wise, and if it's not in my era, if it's not, I got such a streamlined viewpoint to know that I don't need that coil car. I don't need,
right.
That's gotten to a point now that I've gotten such tunnel vision. In a way, it's kind of like, oh, new car, cool, moving on.
Yeah, there you go.
That in honesty, that's kind of how I feel about the S-Scale release that they made. I'm like, well, it's 20 years out of my era or 30 years out of my era. I don't really need any of those. So I hope it sells out. I really do. I want them to do well. I just don't want to spend my money on it. That's it.
Did attendance numbers really kind of come out for Amherst at all? I don't know what the attendance was kind of like. It looked like in Heath's videos, again, it had a decent number of people bustling around. But
yeah, I from the looks of it, it looked well attended. I know that I talked to Ray from Around the Layout podcast, and he said that it was busy both days, and Train Fest was also busy. Not to compare apples and M&Ms, but yeah, Tim Moran saying here around 21,000.
Okay,
so that's pretty good attendance.
That's not bad. That's really good, actually.
Yeah. So here you can see there's a bunch of numbers coming in. So yeah, it's pretty well attended. So I think train shows are making a resurgence here, at least this year, in my opinion. There's been a lot of good attendance at a lot of shows that not only in my neck of the woods, but seems like nationwide. So kind of exciting for us modelers. Yeah. So okay, Amherst, that one, get it out of here, put her in the filing cabinet. So let's this is going to be an interesting little segment we're going to do here on detailing automobiles.
This is going to go one of two ways.
Sink or swim, boys.
We're going to do live demo. Here it is, boys, live demo, and we're going to have William kind of coach us through the process of adding some real quick, realistic details to your cars for your layout that really will make your scenes pop.
And this is something I've got to say to you guys just in general. Mike has a vehicle that I sent to him. It's a era specific, or it's around his era. He's got a 1984 Blazer. This thing, I mean, you got to cut that thing open and really let it shine there, Mike. But this is to be able to get it in his era. And I picked 84 because I know that he's just kind of in that sweet spot. And as far as central Wisconsin, or even just Wisconsin in general, we know that those Blazers existed. Now over to Andy, I did send him a 1/87th scale Gremlin. So a 1974 AMC Gremlin. Now the one that he's got, if you look at the package he's got, I've got on the Workbench screen, these are fresh cherries, very common. He's got sweet cherries. Those are a lot harder to find, but if you do see them around, it's certain colors that are out. Did I send you a red?
I got a blue.
It's blue. There it is.
Yes.
And I've got one here, and it's a black car. But now you guys, anybody that is watching the feed, you guys can take any vehicle off of your railroad at any time and apply these simple little adjustments. Now this one's got a sticker on it.
This is going to be fun.
So now this car.
Hey, here we go. Look at this.
All right, let's get Mike's up there. First of all, I've always wanted one of these. What is it?
In real life.
Yeah, in real life. One of these Blazers. So there you go. That looks good. Yeah, there we go. It's a real hot deal. We'll bring up.
I think the back. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
And
there's a spare tire.
It's got the spare tire in there. See, now this is why people are jealous of guys in S scale. The car selection that they have is insane. So that one that Mike held up, that's a Green Light. The company's known as Green Light. They do a lot of different cars. They even do weathered cars and cars that have some wear and tear. Check out the detail on these things.
Yeah, so pull her away, Mike, just a hair bear.
Right there.
There you go. Yeah, that's a hot ticket. So you got the bench seat in the back. Look at that spare.
The half window.
Yeah.
Now what we're going to ask Mike to do, and Andy and I are going to join with him on this application. But if you've got your taco sauce on hand, Mike, and for anybody that doesn't know, taco sauce is the Tamiya panel line accent color. I use black generally, so this is the product that I'll use. And then I'm using it in the grill. And in Mike's case, we're going to also do our wheels. So Andy, if you've got your taco sauce, you're going to just obviously shake it up, make sure your solution is well mixed. But
no, I've got brown. I've got dark brown.
That's fine too. I mean, you got dirty wheels. This is really just to accent and really draw more attention to the actual details that are on these wheels. So when you do apply this stuff, it's a little bit tougher to see, but as you lay that in there, all it's doing is just falling into the recesses and taking away how chromed out this is to how much more detail can be drawn out just on a wheel like that. So the same thing is again on this wheel. If you can't do this little technique, I'm a little concerned for you as a modeler, because this one's a very simple one that all of us can do. And if you ever see people take pictures of somebody's railroad, and I'm going to pull up just real quick a couple examples of some railroads. So I'm going to share my screen.
I got you here on the production here.
All right.
That taco sauce just smells amazing.
It does. It does.
That's some really good stuff here.
So within this group I had for cars, let's see, we'll pull up just an example. So on my dad's railroad, he had this one here. So this is it's going to be no, I can't even open that one up. I'll have to share my whole screen. Let me do that again, Andy.
You got it, boss.
It's just easier to share my whole screen instead of just part of it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So pulling this one up here under the cars. On my dad's railroad, there's a vehicle that would be sitting like this in a scene, right? Yeah. So what's real glaring and obvious is this white, just blasted white wheel. You hit that with just a little bit of the Tamiya wash, and that's going to be able to knock it back enough to be able to give yourself a look for a car like this one here. So I'll pull up, just looking at the thumbnails. Here we go. This is that same type of truck, but look at that wheel.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you want to just see yourself take away from, see how loud this is, and all you want to do is bring that detail in.
So that was, for me, it's literally, that was 5 seconds just to do the rims and then the grill. And it really, really adds that shadow effect. That's awesome.
And like I said, it's same with like this one here is a little less desirable, but even on the this is an Athearn Kenworth dump truck.
Yeah.
The actual they're just little tiny holes, and all you're doing is putting that black in them to make them look a little bit snappier. And that's less attention. Like I said, in a case like this, I'm looking at this wheel. I'm not looking at the locomotive. And you want to try to take away from that big bright white circle.
Yeah. So Paul Scott August there, C&W Mondovi line, he says that it changes it from a toy to a model.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
No,
a really good way to put it.
I have a question. Can you bring me up
No.
for a second, please?
Yes,
I
of
have a
course we
question.
can.
Yep.
Pull it back
Okay.
towards your body. There you go.
Okay, so now one of the issues is the fact that this thing is not. Where's my remote?
I don't know.
He's got a zoom function, folks.
I have a zoom function.
We're jealous of that camera, Mike.
Yeah.
Don't be yet. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. So one of the things is, if you look, this one I did not touch yet. This one I did. It basically, the brown. I'll do this other one here a little bit. That with that chrome wheel, it seems to want to kind of, it disappears. Do you see what I mean? You see that?
Must
do.
be those big wheels. So you don't have any recesses for the stuff to flow down into.
Oh yeah, there's all sorts of little pinholes here. There's all sorts of pinholes inside here, and it's actually going right down into those pinholes. So I wonder if I need to use something other than Tamiya.
The other ones that I use, Mike, and I don't know if you necessarily have on hand, but I will use India ink. So if you have India ink is good because you can actually let that dry and then wipe off the stuff that you want to see back to chrome. So if you blacken the wheel, you can lay India ink on it and then wipe it off with just a little. You can use rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol and just lightly knock it off.
Did you give that bottle a good shake too to get some of the sediment off the bottom?
Oh, I shook it all sorts of times. Yeah, it's actually, there's nothing on the bottom.
So I'll bring up mine here so you can see, like, this will focus back. I'll put my hand behind it, see if I can get it to pick up on it.
See, your camera's doing the same thing.
Yeah, but basically it's just adding that little bit here. You can even see from the distance where I flip it over and it's just bright chrome.
And really, for guys that are doing this, and like I said, you can take any car off your railroad except for a 1984 Blazer.
Yep.
You can take any car off of your railroad and apply this effect to take off that chrome. The chrome is just too loud and in your face to be able to then at least push it back. And like Andy's got there, you're knocking the vibrancy of just being one big solid silver circle.
Yeah, so you can even just see it when I flip it over, right? It's just, it really adds that shadow effect. And Split Rock's right. We absolutely need a practice focus session. That's next when we do the rail car radio.
I'm just wondering if he's wondering about our attention and our focus, not necessarily the cameras. We jump around a little bit.
We did. We went everywhere.
But now what we've got, as far as like I said, I did the front grille on this one as well. It just pushes back, and you can see that's not just a silver bar anymore. There are a lot of times that, like I said, you can put it in the side on the car. This one you cannot see on the door panels. Like I'll actually use it on the door panel or even the hood line where you have it, and it's being used for what it's meant for, which is the accent.
The panel line accent, right?
Yes, and I'll pull up just real quickly. I got a couple of different versions here.
Let me try that on this one. Oh wow. You don't need a lot, and it goes right along the contour.
And if you use ever too much, take a little bit. I'm just using a little piece of cloth. This is just a shop rag that I've torn a little piece off of, and that at least allows you to be able to, let that suck it up. Just don't wipe it off, but let it actually pull it up.
Like using the capillary action of it to soak it through.
I'm going to show you that grill on the front of, this is the Rapido car that we just had looked at. And I'm going to give you a look at the grill. just with that little bit in there. So you can see between the two, it's subtle. It's not much, but it's knocking off how shiny, and it basically looks like, Justin Jefferson's teeth.
Jeez, please. Wow.
Oh man.
Well, it's a different kind of grill, but you get the idea. You get where we're going with that type of effect.
Justin Jefferson, he's a really bad football player for the team in Minnesota, right?
Oh, the team not to be mentioned.
Yeah,
I'm going to give you a look at, this is the Rapido squad car. And the same thing again, if you look at the grill, here it is right out of the box, and here it is just lightly washed. The details are there. We've got to just be the modelers that bring them out.
Yeah, wow.
I'm not exactly sure why I bought a squad car. I maybe because the one that's sitting next to it is one of the Neo models. I've got a few of those, and I just figured maybe I didn't have a cop car. But it is kind of neat. The Rapido, back to hashtag not sponsored, does come with a whole bunch of little accessory parts that you got extra light bars. This is probably more true to my era, the squared off versions versus the rounded version.
Yeah.
And they've got a few different options that you can swap out on your car, as well as add a front, I think it's like a ramrod or one of those things that they put on the front bumper.
Oh, like to drive through stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I can think of in a car similar to this is the Blues Brothers, but I'm not making a Blues Brothers car.
So Ralph Renzetti says, I think I need to give you guys some lessons on how to use weathering techniques. That's basically, I mean, that sounds to me like an invitation to bring Ralph back on the show.
Well, it seems like a good way to do it.
Yeah, I think he just volunteered. Ralph, we'll have to have a chat, buddy.
I think I found the secret to doing this.
Did you get it, Mike?
Yeah. Okay.
Andy, pop back over to Mike there.
Will do. Pull her back towards you. That's looking a little better.
Layering.
Aha. I think there was a couple of notes in there to put more on.
Like if you look at the car, the tire in the back, and then you look at these tires here, you can tell that these are definitely got some brown on them.
Yeah.
Now, the thing with those wheels, Mike, and I don't know if it's necessarily the case with that exact car that you have, but there are cars in the case of like a Trident. I've got a Trident car that it's got those same type of wheels, or they got holes. And if they've got holes in them, I'll even drill them out. Like I'll use a little pin vise, like this pin vise here.
Yeah.
And I actually do drill them out completely. And then you can see there, it's got the hole. It's hard to see probably because it's so far away, but I will go through and drill out. If it's a circular hole, just drill them all the way through. And it seems tedious, but the actual effect in the end is well worth it, because you end up with a perfectly round hole. And in some cases, if you don't put your taco sauce on quite right, it'll run around and be kind of all over the place. It'll be around your hubcap and everything, which in some cases, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But even like this similar type of wheel, I'll put it in just like that there. And that wheel right now, I'd say between the two, and I know it's a little bit hard to see from a focus standpoint, that wheel is done. That wheel, either you could drill it out or just once. I mean, that took no time at all.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just so little wash. You don't need to, just go real light and then, just add it very sparingly. And you just have this beautiful.
And remember, these are subtle effects. These are not intended to be the finished product that you're going to see as a magazine cover. That this truck is now ready to be put on the front of Model Railroader. That's not necessarily the case. These are just subtle effects to take away some of that toy-like effect by simply washing it away with, whether it's the accents, drilling it out. I do use paint mixed with a little bit of water, or like I said, I'll use the India ink.
Sure.
But then moving forward, so we'll call that just a basic skill. Andy, if you've got your decals on you, I've got mine sitting here as well. Okay. We're going to throw these on here. And when we throw these on, I put on every single car. Now, this is for everybody. Microscale sells these. If you say you don't have a printer, you don't have any way to do these, but they sell license plates. Very simple, very easy to do. I've used this entire sheet. This is Microscale MC 4149 1970 plus, and they actually do some pre-70s. But this is an
70s.
easy thing to do to take away the toy-like look. Now on the Gremlin right now, our license plate is right there on the back. And I know you can't probably read it, but it says 1974. Well, that's not a license plate. That's the year this car was made. So Mike was very intuitive, and he came up with a way to be able to address his license plate issue. So if Andy wants to pop over to him, I'm going to lay a couple of stripes on the side of my my car at the moment. But Mike has a great way to be able to put license plate on his car.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen here again.
Just tell me when it's up.
It's coming right now. Okay, I stumbled across this website called platesmania.com. And what it is you can actually generate, I believe they're supposed to be real life vanity plates. So if you go here, we're under here, you generate the plate. So you could select whatever state you want. Say we want to go to California. It'll give you options as to how many plates. There's all the plate options you have for the state of California. Or you want to go to whatever state it happens to be. You have plate options. Now it doesn't give year. It doesn't give anything like that. Like I'm going to go down here to Wisconsin, and it only gives this one. So you can't go back to the solid yellow with the black letters, nothing like that. But what you can do is then what you do is you go here and you go, oh, I want this to say second section. So I'll put 2 ND SECT. And then you hit get, and up pops what you look like, what your plate will look like. Now you can actually, it will not let you save the image. It won't let you save it. So I hit copy of the image. And then what I did is I'm going to try this, Andy. I'm not sure if this is going to work.
Hey, Mike, before we
Yes.
get too carried away, Chris Bell was asking, what was that site again?
Oh,
so if you want to copy it and toss it in the chat.
Yeah, I will. I certainly will. Here, let's see. Copy this. Copy. And where the heck is the chat? Where are we? Here we go.
Over yonder.
It's over there. And hit that. And there you go. It should be up in the chat, I hope. Yep, there it is. It's in the chat now. So I'm going to try to do this again. I need to go to a different. Can you see my Excel spreadsheet or no?
No, I cannot.
All right, I'll have to do this a different way then. I'll do this way. I'll stop sharing. I'll come back into it. What I did was I copied the can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so what I did was I copied that, and then I pasted the full size license plate, and I'll see if I can't do that here quick. Okay, copy image, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to place it here, and I'm going to hit paste, and there's my full size image of the license plate that I just selected. Now I'm going to shrink that down just using the little sizing thing for it. Shrink it down to pretty close to where I'm at. And just like that, you have yourself whatever scale license plate that you want to say whatever you want on the back on it. So it's kind of neat. Then I just printed them out on a piece of paper and cut them out.
You want to tell us how you arrived on the size of that license plate?
Strictly by guessing.
It was amazing.
I printed, I guessed at it, I went to the size, and I'm like, let's see what it looks like on a piece of paper. And it came out, and I'm like, look at this. It's actually came out to 6 inches by 12 inches, which is what a license plate is. So I got lucky. But yeah, so give it a shot. And I thought that was kind of a neat thing. And I've got some license plates here. I'm just going to put them on with a little bit of CA because they're made out of paper, and put them on this truck, and the second section Bronco or Blazer will be in business.
I just can't. It's so we got 2 for 2 on easy solutions from Tom. Let's see, Klimchek here, and Tom, you'll probably have to correct me on how to pronounce your last name. And then Ralph says, yeah, that process works in Microsoft Word as well.
Oh, that's a good idea too.
And it also in Microsoft Word, you can bring up rulers as well, which is kind of a neat thing. So you can get the measure as well. So I've also went and did something silly with my Gremlin. Is added the license plate, but I also put on this sweet stripe on the side, and that
that's awesome.
it really, like, the minute I saw this, I'm like, I know it's a Pacer that was in Wayne's World, but this car really reminds me of the Mirthmobile, and you can see there I finally got it in focus, but you can see how the panel line wash is kind of knocked down the
You had it in focus, Andy.
yeah, I did, and I just decided to have shaky, greasy meat hands.
But that hockey stick is just such a subtle element, but it screams Gremlin.
Yeah, right. Like that was the thing that stripe was what gave the Gremlin identifier pretty much. So now I'm gonna see if I can ruin it even more. Here with this is another car. This is an old Wicking, or made in
Viking?
Germany. Yeah, Viking. And I just did the panel line wash on these wheels as well. This is an old VW. Let's see if I can't.
And one thing for anybody that has the ones that like he's holding up here, that basic plastic car, popping them things apart and putting just a coat of paint to take away the plastic shell will take that car from being pretty boring and plain to a lot sharper looking.
So you can see just the difference there. Just even adding that panel wash just to the rims on this old Beetle, how it really takes away the sheen and shine.
Here, flip over and see how my license plate looks here.
It's not good.
Oh, come on. It'll do something here.
That is just
there you go.
Second section. Gotta love it.
But you know what I noticed about the front one? Just noticed it. Tell me what you see wrong with the front one, other than the fact that my big old meat hooks won't.
I can't tell.
It won't do it. It looks like the N is backwards.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know. Anybody that's paying that close attention is too close to the vehicle.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, you got an opportunity to do some really cool things with these vehicles, right?
Well,
Yeah,
part
exactly.
of it, I feel like is a lot of times we take our freight cars a lot of times right out of the box and just set it on the rails. Sometimes just painting our wheel sides on a freight car truck is helping them get a little bit further along. But the details on just your cars that are, they're supporting cast, but just adds a little bit.
like this. I was just looking at this just now, and I just came up with, you know what this back seat needs? Some seat belts. It needs lap belts on it. It was in 1984. They would have had them. So, it just needs a some kind of a lap belt. So coming up with a way to create those, it would be a good detail to add, even though, because I mean, hey, you don't know. I mean, you're not always going to have the cover off or on. So I just kind of thought that was kind of a neat thing. This is a super cool vehicle.
Yeah, it is.
Now those wheels look better.
Yeah.
You compare this side and you flip it over to the other side, you can start seeing where the brown is starting to take shape and the depth of it, That's cool.
But again, these are just, subtle techniques. Andy and I were both working off of a decal sheet that I created the graphics for the Gremlins, and I've sold a number of them over the years. I even have one car that, to get the bottoms off, you have to drill out the rivets that hold the bottom of the chassis on. So I drilled through the bottom of the car, and it actually punched through and it punched out the back window of a Gremlin. So I ended up taking the car and I stripped it completely. You pop over, just give us a second there, Andy.
Yeah. Here, let's take a quick peek.
This is the car that I drilled through and I popped up and I punched a hole in it. Well, I put a little windshield on there just by cutting out a piece of plastic off of a plastic container, whether it was a bottle or whatever. And I put that on the back with it lifted up. And obviously you can put details and stuff inside, but on these Gremlins, they had that kind of that shape on the back. So it's just a decal. So the decal itself is made just to fit that same look. And then you can lay your license plate on there. And the wheels, notice the wheels are different than the factory ones that came on the car. This car is different, a different color, because the different color happens because I obviously repainted it. But I went on eBay and you can type in color sheet or color swatches or color codes and put 1974 Gremlin, and you'll get the old dealer sheets that they used to pick their car colors from.
Yeah.
And this is a car color that was similar to one that a Gremlin would have had. And then it had the options of what color. This is actually a cream stripe kit, where this one here is just white. But you're taking something very basic and subtle. I swapped out the wheels. These are actually off of a GTO, a 1970 GTO that I pulled them off of. And then I drilled out the headlights on this particular one, and I put in class lights. They're roughly about the same size or close to it. That was, I think, MV Products that used to make lenses. And I've asked this before, but if anybody knows who makes a good lens, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, no kidding.
But the grill on this one is a decal. So as you see on the decal sheet, there's that black right there. It's a lot easier, and then it has the Gremlin logo in the middle. And then obviously we put our license plate, painted our bumperettes, and made ourselves kind of a nice looking Gremlin that's a one-off custom.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. God.
And I've done a few other ones. I did, like this is a Burkina vehicle. Just a simple van.
Yeah.
And Walter Electric is actually a group that had sponsored our baseball team. And my dad went to high school with the owner. And I thought, that'd be kind of cool, do a Walter Electric. So I did have some decals made up by Bill Brillinger at PDC. I think he's pdc.ca.
Yes.
And he's done a nice job. And Circus City does as well. Some of these are Circus City decals that are floating around here. But these ones are done by Bill. And it's fantastic to be able to take just get a plain vehicle like that. And now you've got yourself a custom commercial electric outfit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pull up real quick as we move forward. So we call these as kind of your intermediate, decals or upgrades. Andy doing the decal like that. But if you go to my screen here real quick, I'm going to pull up just a real quick look from the manufacturers and cars that we know that are out there. In this case, you're looking at the monogram Corvette. We're all familiar with that. There are a lot of them that are probably kicking around at shows. This is that monogram Corvette that I obviously masked it off, and I put a pair of wheels that came off of a 1995. It was Bush. I want to say it was a Buick, like a Buick LeSabre. And it was close enough. It was as close as I could get. And then out came, this was that PCX outfit that did the Corvette. So now you have the accurate wheels, the right car. The top is obviously removed. It's more refined, but you're not too far off. If you don't want to spend the $26 on a PCX car, and you can come across one for $1 in the dollar bin, you can kind of cobble yourself together a decent enough representation of, a 19. I think this one here is technically an 86 Corvette. Dang. But I will pull up another example before we move on, is some of the finer details. If you really want to get carried away, this is an ambulance that I had done. It's not painted or anything, but I upgraded the wheels by using, I want to say that not Division Point. I got them right here. Division Point makes brass models. This is River Point's old wheel set. And River Point Stations did a set of just these basic wheels. And you could upgrade, obviously, your vehicles to have a nicer, meatier looking wheel. And then on that same, if I go back to my desktop there, the ambulance that's on there has antennas. And you think, well, antennas are a little excessive. I mean, I think that's probably taking it a little bit too far because they are pretty fine. But they do make, engineering does a very small, and I've got the product number, the N210410. They make this super fine stainless wire. And that's what I'm using for the antennas. And I thought, well, if you're going to put antennas on it, I'm going to pull up one more picture for you before we close out this section. And that was in this case, a tailpipe.
Oh,
it's a little much to have to worry about putting a tailpipe on a car. But this particular car, obviously, you see the custom license plate.
Yeah.
These wheels came off of an accidental order on eBay. When I ordered them, they said they're 187th scale, and they turned out to be 186th scale, which that's irrelevant to begin with, but I like the wheels. And I messaged the guy, and he says, tell you what, he goes, I don't know anybody that had any interest in them. He refunded me and said, you can have them. So I've got a few of these odd little tiny wheels, which actually service this car a little bit better compared to the larger size wheel that originally came on those Fresh Cherry cars. I think I didn't have one of the Fresh Cherry car before. It has bulbous wheels. But a little spoiler alert or a teaser. Guys have asked about a new season for Soo the Milwaukee Road, of when I'm going to come out with it. Andy is going to provide a link at the end of this episode that will let you watch the first Soo the Milwaukee Road season 7. It will officially kick off on Friday. But I said we're going to release an episode before the end of January. Well, we are 2 hours away from the end of January. So we figured why not?
We better make good on that promise.
And we will. Sure. I've already uploaded it. I saw that it was approved, and there wasn't any discrepancies that flagged it. But before we close this out, I think this might be a good image to kind of wrap up our vehicle segment with, and that is the Rapido bus. They did such a nice job on it.
Yeah.
The techniques we just talked about. This thing is just taco sauced and dull coated. So I did disassemble it. And I did paint the interior instead of the mold color inside. I painted it kind of an off color. There's a video on this whole thing, but the white wheels was accurate to the MTC. And then also behind it is a C10 pickup that I did a custom grill license plate. I repainted the whole thing. I put on some Sprinter van wheels on it. But this is what it's all about. Just taking some of those basic right out of the box. A lot of guys might set this on the railroad. I mean, I'm not going to say it took me 2 minutes to do this bus, because it probably took me at least an hour. But it doesn't take a lot to take something, just a subtle little approach. I mean, we're not a Ralph Renzetti type that has the skills to be able to really take stuff over the finish line, but we are all learning. And these are great areas to be able to kind of start out and learn some of these processes.
Oh, yeah.
So if there's anybody that wants to see any of the other videos that cover some of these upgrades, You can always pop into the YouTube channels if you haven't seen it already. You can see the accent in this particular case, just in this wheel, Corvette wheel on this car. A friend of ours, that Curtis, that does these detailed vehicles, gave this set of wheels to me to put on this car because he said this car deserves it. So I'm going to show you just that one last shot here, and we'll close out this vehicle segment. Here that car is just by putting those wheels on it.
That's slick. Is that an old Caddy?
It's a Ford Custom. A Ford Custom. I think it's like a 400 or a Ford Custom 300, something like that.
Huh.
But this is made by Atlas. I did custom paint it. It was a squad car. Got it at a decent price, and it was kind of nice to have just a basic car, and I gave it to my dad for his birthday or Christmas, one of the two.
Yeah. Excellent.
Well, there we go, fellas.
All right. Let's see here. So people are starting to ask about the giveaway too. I think what we'll do for the giveaway bits is probably after our next segment here. So I'm going to have to get pretty jazzed up here for our next segment, which is going to be, see if I ruined everything here.
You can pull it back to you and pull off my desktop.
Yeah, I'll do that. We'll bring all of us up here. Let's see. All right, so that's that little funky riff means it's time for what's on your workbench. I know that we put up a call for pictures on what's on your workbench tonight, and then I think after what's on the workbench, we should probably do the drawing, should we not?
That seems fair.
Probably a good idea.
Fair. I think that's a good idea. Okay, so we just to kind of give an intro to the folks who don't know about what's on your workbench, we have a Facebook group out there called Second Section Podcast out on Facebook land. It's free to join. All you got to do is answer a few questions and we'll let you in. But the crew there shares what they've been working on with their modeling. And it's some really fantastic stuff and a good community overall in terms of sharing what they have in model railroading. So we'll go and I'll bring up the screen share here on the Facebook page for what's on your workbench. You guys should be able to see that. And I'll bring up some pictures here. So our what's on the workbench post here is a picture of what I have going on behind me, and it's just a hot disaster of things that we have going on. But we had quite a few comments here, of 107 tonight in here. So we're gonna have to do the lightning round, but we'll be sure to get everyone up there. And here we start off with Tony Dixon, says laying some decals on some S-scale hopper cars from Pacific Rail shops and American models, along with working on a 164th S-scale firehouse and a couple of fire trucks that won't be pictured. But Tony doing some really nice work in S-scale these days. Always posts. He's got quite a few models always on his workbench cycling in and out. So kind of cool to see what Tony's working on. Here's some more. This would be a low hip, if I'm correct, Mike, if I identified that right. Yeah,
and it looks like he modified that and added the extra rib. So it's not it's not a 434. He actually added the rib that goes between the big blank spaces.
Yeah, so
which is a different variation
right here and right here, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about, the ribs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then there'd be a space. 1, 2, 3, space. Looks like he added those in. That's cool.
Yep.
Nice. Let's see here. Ooh, getting into the world of graffiti. Looks like as well. It's nice work there, Tony. All right. He's always got a lot of stuff on his workbench. A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He is always moving. And here's the firehouse, right? Hey,
Yep.
look at that. Taco sauce points. There we go. I don't know if that's the proper use of taco sauce, but it looks like he's got 4 bottles of it there using to hold down the roof of the firehouse.
I call it sufficient. I use it for holding
Yeah.
my camera up when I take pictures. I think he's in a good spot.
And I think he's in it. Oh yeah, new bench and setup for storing 3D printed parts. Wow. Clean and organized, Tony. Very good. Clem Harris, nothing at the moment. I've had my hands full with extracurricular work activities. Well, good luck with that, Clem. We're looking forward to seeing what's on your workbench coming in the next show. Phil Aloco says here, this was my mom's workbench. Mama Aloco painted some telephone pole loads for me that she used some spackle to get the texture. It's looking good.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah. Nice piggybacks in the background too.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Looking good, Phil. Okay. Oh my God. Paul, Scott, August. What do we got going on here? This is chaos for Paul. It says it's a mess. Painting a new order of mini print figures. Building the peanut butter lid challenge. Building a coal conveyor. Updating old blue box cars to NMRA specs. Getting an Alexander industrial crane to building crossbucks and stop signs. Holy moly! This is in progress here. He is moving right along. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on here.
Juristically messed up for him.
Yeah, this is very uncharacteristic. It's going to put him for this. This will put him high in the running for Workbench of the Week.
We're proud of you, Paul.
We're so proud of you. I like the little peanut butter lid dioramas that he's building there too.
It's about time.
All right, let's see here. Said here's a future Raccoon Lines dome car from Phil Loco, doing a custom job here. Looking good. Let's see. Brian Veek says, well, it's a piece of 136-pound rail. Did a project for a friend who has 30 years of service at CSX. Going to be a surprise, so shh. Don't tell anyone for him this weekend. I used O scale and HO scale decals as well as HO 22-inch letters. I cleaned, painted, gloss coat decals, and dull coat for the finished project. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's neat.
That is really cool. Well done, Brian. Let's see what else we got here. Martin Jenkins, nothing on the workbench this week. On my way home from Springfield with a case of full odds and ends. Op session tonight on the Onondaga cutoff, then a trip to New York before heading home on Friday.
Wow.
And then here's another picture of Brian's rail from the backside. Looks good.
That's cool.
That is a really cool thing. Andy Panette, not much apart from my micro layout, still a long way to go. But it looks like you're on your way, and that's a good thing.
Can't wait to see how that actually turns out.
I like
That'll be really, really neat.
Shadow box here that he's got going on. Nice curved backdrop. It'll be interesting. Good set of paints and masking tape down here.
I like that Tamiya masking tape. Andy, you told me about it. It's fantastic.
It's the best stuff, I'm telling you. Can't go wrong with that Tamiya masking tape. All right, Michael Shanky. He's a contributor. Whoa!
Oh,
really
boy.
What is this?
Oh,
This
he
seems staged.
He uses the Tamiya for weathering. I think he drinks the Red Hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just takes a nip off it every now and again.
Wow.
And you'll need it for a 3-hour episode of the second section just to keep you awake.
This guy, I tell you.
Yeah. On my workbench, it's a bulkhead that's getting a variety of taco sauce. I want to do a few kind of rolling stock. Kind of got a model wall lately waiting for the upcoming Madison train show. I know a lot of us here in Wisconsin are looking forward to that. Questionable with the Taco Bell sauce there. That means that he would have actually had to go to Taco Bell. So
yeah, End up with the hot cha-chas out of that, probably.
Yeah, the screaming Cheeto wheelies. All right.
I don't even know those are real terms, but you guys just used them.
Yeah, that's right up there with Greasy Beat Hands. So Robert
Yeah.
J. Thomas with another masterpiece here, the Kansas and Texas Supply Company says, I showed this structure in pieces the last episode of What's on Your Workbench, and Andy said he would like to see it completed. Getting pretty close. This is Mind Mount Models Wilson Mustard Kit. So that's Ron Kleiss, his company there. It's a beautiful
Love the
kit.
trucks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aren't those cool?
Are they titchy?
I don't know.
Here's the other side. Look at that.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
Nice Frisco car there. Does such a good job, Robert. Good modeler. Nice stuff here. Okay. Mark Weens. This is his workbench here. It looks, we got some stuff going on here. Got a nice painting in the background. There's an old, looks like SD40-2 shell here. We got an NCE cab, throttle in the middle there, boxes. I'm not seeing the taco sauce. So we got some glue, another locomotive, work lamp, some clamps on top of a printer. That's a good use of the vertical space. Yeah, very good, Mark.
Gotta give him an A for effort on that one.
I'm gonna give him an A for effort. Boy, Thomas Austin getting closer on that Mopac Jeep 28. Ooh, I'm getting
that's a guy after my own heart doing a 28.
I'm getting the feels here. Here we go. Sound circuit for the GP 28. Ooh, we're getting close.
Yeah.
Thomas, if you're out there, we're gonna need when that thing gets operational, we'll need a video of that with the sound full blaze.
This is simply amazing.
What's this? So
this
Robert,
is incredible.
Robert Frischella, inspired by Tom Johnson from his appearance on the last show, I decided to add this billboard to my layout. It appeared next to the D&H tracks in Santeria Springs, New York, and was the basis for my 2017 painting. Now I can recreate it on my layout. That is outstanding, Robert.
That's cool.
Did he post a picture of his painting?
I don't know. We're gonna have to. Let's take a look here. So let's freeze that in time. And here's the painting.
Cool.
I actually own a print of that painting, and that is, I tell you what, that is amazing.
That is super cool.
So another question, that graphic that you had before, is that he cropped it out of there and printed it?
Yeah. Robert made the painting, and he did all of that, and then he just took the sign out and made it into a three-dimensional sign. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Nicely done, Robert. Your work is great, but that's cool.
Eric Rissman says not quite the workbench, but just call it shenanigans. Designs for the Illinois Central Iowa Division plus staging, Cedar Falls, New Hartford, Sinclair, Iowa, circa late 1990s, early 2000s. Looks like we're well on our way to having a nice layout put together, Eric. Good plan in place. Wonder what he's using to design that. It's not the one that you use, is it, William?
No, I use X-Track-CAD. It doesn't look like it.
It looks like something cool. Eric, you'll have to let us know what you used for your planning software here. Former Workbench winner John Whithouse, still plugging away on my project for the Twin Cities Division Annual Modelers Meet. The MNNR number 80, a MLW RS23.
That's been fun to watch him do that. That's kind of
yes. I was gonna say the same, Mike.
Look at the front with the details on the cab.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well done, John.
You would never realize that that's an RS unit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, just because it has the end cab on it.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's a good project. It's been fun to watch. Robert Pettit looks like he's drilling grab iron holes. Old school skills still in use. Look at that. Nice little looks like he's got a piece of styrene in there to keep the grabs all level too. That's a neat little trick.
Yeah.
Good move.
Some habits just never die, you know. That's a good one right there.
It's a neat little trick to add when you're adding details to keep everything all symmetrical and level. It's good stuff. And then he's got the LED headlights in an old Atlas here. Oh, boy, you could see those babies from space. Nice. Good work. Okay. Dave Nitch, scratch building an S-scale factory model from June 1969 RMC article. Oh, got to go back in time.
Yeah,
Dave's a great modeler. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Let's see what else we got here, and then here's some plans for it as well.
That's gonna be cool when it's all done.
Pod's Putty Knife Factory. More here.
Does that kind of fit into like the gruesome casket? Pod's Putty Knife.
Yeah, I think
Pod's Putty Knife. You know.
Yeah. Let's see here. Brian Spoke removing the factory reporting marks and logos from these tangent scale models PS 4750 high hip covered hoppers, right?
Yeah.
They're high hip.
Yep.
Learn that tonight. They will eventually be readied for AEX and NOK along with given modern safety striping. So I always look forward to watching on your Workbench because I get to practice my public reading skills.
This is really cool.
This was a good. I got to see this earlier in the week, and I'm glad Joseph posted it here. Joseph Ginto from Touch of the Brush Weathering says here this diorama recreates a scene from the movie End of the Line, 1987, starring Wilford Brimley, Levon Helm, and Kevin Bacon. The model was detailed and weathered based on the scene where the locomotive crashed through the police car. The Southland Railroad is a fictional company based out of a fictional town in Clifford, Arkansas. In reality, it's Benton, Arkansas, off of the Union Pacific Van Buren subdivision. So this is just, if you get to see this, he's got both of the movie pic and the locomotive there. And then how the car was there on the road.
You see, he's got the little bubblegum light on the nose of the engine on the top of the right there.
Yeah, right here on
yeah. If you get a chance to watch that movie, I haven't seen it in years, but if you get a chance to watch that movie, it's actually a pretty decent movie. It's actually kind of interesting.
Anything with Wilford Brimley and Kevin Bacon's got to be good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Quaker Oats guy, right? Isn't that what he was good for? Yeah. Liam Hoffman just finished up the paint on the Nicolay Central 1800. There's the re-railer details that we were talking about earlier, right?
One Soo line yellow.
Yep, there you go. Never used, but always there. Yep, Liam. Let's see here. And then here's a close-up of the locomotive detail from Joseph again. And he says the bullet holes and missing number board were included to represent some of the other scenes from the movie. The prototype photo was taken by Mike Danneman from Rail Pictures. You can see here. So does he add the bullet holes here? I'm going to guess in the cab.
Sure, look up at the number boards.
Oh, yeah.
Look at all the holes in the number boards.
Yep.
And it looks like one of the windows is spidering a little bit.
Yeah, I thought the same. It's cracked.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Very good. This was fun. It's a fun picture. Reed Gaffey, a big mess. Oh, but we got taco sauce in that mess. We gotta like that. He's got the square. What's the square doing in the paint booth? Huh. We'll have to get a
The
definition.
paint shield.
Paint shield. Yeah, maybe he's using it for masking. Square mask.
It's actually kind of funny.
All right, let's see here. Gary Dupre, more decoders, and the SPNS 280 is road ready, but I'm debating replacing the driver. It's got a wobble. The BNGPs are getting decoders and the REM steam shovel, and I have an REM steam shovel to finish. There's more projects. End scale, I'll be at work when you guys are doing the stream, so I'll catch up while you're driving. Well, I hope it's a long drive because this has been a long show. But very good stuff here, Gary. Interesting, the steam shovel. It'd be cool to see that. Loc sound decoders going in on the Burlington Northern units. So good luck to you. Thanks for sharing with us tonight. All right, Jason Young painting signs for the club layout on a DOW Doppler on wheels for bad weather seen on the club layout. That's awesome. I like that. Here's a look what it looks like on
in
real life. Straight out of the movie Twister. We're talking about good movies, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not every day you see a flying cow. Yeah.
I think that's the same cow.
Yeah. Greg Gay, nothing on the workbench this week after returning from Amherst with some amazing new kits. There will be some new vehicle builds coming. Hey, look at the toolbox. Also scored some new stickers this past weekend. He has got all sorts of stickers on his toolbox. Awesome. Let's see here. Mark Steenwick, cleaning, and more cleaning. Well, good luck there. It's an important thing to do is to keep your area clean. Mike Wachowski, a set of old A-line double stack cars that I found at the Arctic Run train show last weekend. This is the guy who said he'd never buy any more cars, but here we go.
Yeah, right.
I've been looking for another set of these for years. Well, it's good, Mike, to see the build bug has bit.
It's nice to see you took the parts out of the box, Mike.
Yeah. Good luck, and let's see some more photos of that as you progress through it, Mike. It's going to be fun to watch. Martin Coombs on the workbench is painting some 1/19 scale garden railway wagons. Having heard about the wet pallets on this podcast, I bought one and had a go. What a game changer for acrylic painting. Yes, the wet palette. It is a good tool to use, especially for weathering. And then here's an overall shot of his bench. Wife has a similar bench right next to to the right of mine. Hers is for the card crafting hobby.
Oh, that looks awful.
Isn't that amazing? I love the wood though. I mean, I'm a woodworker, right? So I get excited about that, but that's really well organized, Martin. Says I like my tools tidy and easy to locate. That shows. You always know where they are. You're not spending all your hobby time looking for your tools. I can appreciate that. Okay. Paul Kassar just finished converting these two GP38-2s scale sound speakers too. I'll play the video. I don't know if it's going to hit. Let's see here. We can get it moving along. There you go. Paul's always working on his layout. Oh, he's got some home road boxcars there in tow.
Oh, a bunch of them.
Yeah. I always like the Mopac units that he has on his layout. I just love them. Well done, Paul. Tom O'Connell, weathering and paint mixing. Oh, I see a bottle of taco sauce in the back. Very good. Looking like that tank car is going to get a fresh dose of weathering. Oh, and a vortex mixer. Is that for making like paint or shaking up hobby bottles of paint? Is that what that is?
I've got no idea. I've never seen one.
Huh. I wonder if that's what Tom's using. Tom, you'll have to let us know what that is, the vortex mixer. What's that all about? All right. Scott Haycock, this is a HO model of a boiler house built from plans from a 2002 issue of RMC. It's the second time someone's using plans from RMC to scratch build something.
Yeah, and
in this
throwback. I mean,
throwback.
2002, 20 years
Yeah.
ago.
To this point, it's built entirely from expanded PVC. Sintra is one brand name. The gray panel is an experiment on the finish, and this structure was covered in corrugated sheet metal, so I'm scribing the panel into the walls. Now onto the windows, doors, and trestle. Look what he did with the down here in the corrugated gray panel. Wow.
Wow.
Interesting. You'll have to let us know this one. I'd like to see more progress photos on this. It's cool that you use this medium for scratch building. That is awesome. Sal Natale, 3D designed and printed HO 33 foot, I'm going to guess that's inch, wheel holders to help hold the wheels and axles in place while I make resistor wheel sets for my block detection. Holds the wheel sets by the wheels and flip it over to hold the wheel sets by the axles. Could also be used for painting wheels. Currently going through my freight roster and adding all this, and he's got the Thingiverse link there for the 3D print fixture that he's put together. It's awesome. That's cool.
That's a pretty good. That's an awesome idea.
That's a really good idea. There you go. And then, of course, he's got stuff that he's working on as well in the upside down. Very good, Sal. I like that little 3D printed block. That's pretty cool. Gary Harper, body mounting couplers, 24 Trainworks coal hoppers while sitting in my hotel room in Delhi, India. Whoa.
Wow. Sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome. All the way across the world in Delhi, India, making do with whatever I got to work with. Well done, Greg.
That's cool.
Outstanding. What are you going to do, right? Way far away from home. Let's build some models. All right, Austin Clunker. One of two Athearn Genesis GP7U locomotives being torn down for paint stripping. This one will be repainted as Salt Lake City Southern Railroad 2207. Oh, it's a banger and a Roostic locomotive that he's pulling apart and stripping down.
Yeah.
And the reason I made that comment is because I just reprogrammed a decoder for a young lad at our local club here in Ripon that had that exact same locomotive. So that was fun. Here's the Salt Lake City Southern. Guys hanging out on the sill there. That's pretty cool. All right, let's see what we got going on here. We got a lot of pictures to go through. Here's another one from Andy Pennant. Nice Conrail unit here. Looks like what, GP15?
Yep.
There we go. Move right along. We got here Justin Hendrickson. All right. Longtime listener Justin chimes in and says, I've been working on this farm diorama, laser kit farm set with Interaction Hobbies, caboose tree stand kit that I will use as a produce stand. Have the trees around it as in the winter. It would be a Christmas tree stand. That I didn't read that right. But I don't model the winter, so lots of work to do yet. Small buildings, people, animals, equipment on the way for mini prints, hashtag not sponsored, and others. I think that this is turning out nicely. The layout of buildings is not yet set either. I believe the diorama size is 16 by 30 inches. So there you go. Well done,
that's
Justin.
Starting to come together really nice.
I like the narrow front John Deere's there. That's good. Good stuff. Let's see here. John Garvin. Here we go. John's finishing the building exterior, grime now, and adding details, piping, venting. We'll add gas pipe and a pole. Phase 3 transformers. You can thank Boomer for the evergreen styrene technique. There's the actual workbench. Ooh, yeah, there's the evergreen. It's coming out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's coming out. Well done, John. Let's see. Robert Wilkowski. The start of an HO scale project for me. This will be painting this one up as Wisconsin Central Franken-40 3018.
Yeah. I've actually run that engine.
The Franken-40. Here's what it
Oh
looks
yeah,
like
I had
in
it in
real life.
Manitowoc. I had it in Manitowoc for a long time, and you could tell from the inside of the cab that the cab is two different types that was welded together. It was one side of the cab's got green paint in the window well, the other one's got gray paint. I mean, it's
So there's one thing I do want to draw a note to. Look at that second section sticker in the background.
I know,
That looks
right?
really good.
And the taco sauce.
And the taco sauce on full display. It's well done. And Franken-40. You don't get a lot of reference to that.
No, you don't.
Yeah, let's see here. Darren Daz Lee detailing an Atlas Trayman RS32. A lot of masking tape there. It's looking good. Mike Slater need to clean off the layout. But I find weird STL files that need to be printed too. This is interesting.
That's awesome.
Some people should just not be allowed to 3D print things. Slater even said it himself. It's funny. That's awesome.
He was doing something else I was following on his personal page the other day. It was one of those was it a Baldwin like DL 109 or something from the Chicago Northwestern? That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or no, it was an old Fairbanks Morris, like, I don't know, Pat, whatever.
Oh no, watch. One of the manufacturers will come out with that.
They'll build it now, yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan,
yeah, no kidding, right?
He's going vertical.
Oh.
I put up my shelf for my works in progress, and I've got bigger tools with light bars underneath for visibility. I also put more shelf brackets up to hold my dioramas and test track. Work has been continuing on the diorama and the GP35 slowly. I see the taco sauce in the background there. That's good. Well, that's some good stuff there. Nice use of the vertical. 3 tiers. Well done, Ryan. Dennis Carroll, significant portion of his layout, that's what's on his workbench.
Wow.
Some pretty nifty track work here. Is that a 3-way switch?
It's switch.
Looks like a couple of them.
I pause for effect. Is that a 3-way? Well done, Dennis. Dennis has a nice YouTube channel as well. I'll have to check him out. John Dick working on rebuilding an old AHM brass Milwaukee Road F6 Hudson, aka the Baltic, into something with DCC sound and a good paint job.
That'll be nice when it's done.
It's a good looking locomotive just in the brass. I can't wait to see when it's done. Here's a shot of the motor removed. Ooh.
Wow.
I don't know if I have the ability yet to tear apart a steam locomotive.
I know, right?
Dennis Carroll, I apologize for posting twice. Everyone does it anyway. But I have multiple workbenches spread out all over the country. This is a mock-up of the Sierra West Models brass foundry. It's looking good. Let's see here. Graham Stockfield working on some newsprint cars. Central Vermont. Very good. There's the ones waiting for the matte coat. Boise Cascade. Those are cool cars.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nathan
Oh,
Crabb. Not much to report. Just got a little bit of light weathering on the other side of my few of my WC 2-bay covered hoppers. All right. Philip Dimmer taking a break from the workbench to get some track done on the lower level ethanol plant. Hey, it's looking good. It's looking good. Keep up the good work. Let's see here. And Robert J. Thomas, he's coming back here with his Frisco model, doing some work tonight while watching the show. Chris Holschbach, new week, new mess. I love it.
There you go.
That's the way we go. All right. And I think we're down to the end of the post. Oh my goodness, that's it. New week, new. I think workbench of the week is gonna have to go to Paul and the CNW Mondovi line for the atypical.
He's always everything has got a place and everything's always in place.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's well balanced.
Everything has got. I mean, there's never a speck of dust out of place on his workbench, and to see that, it does a guy's heart good to see chaos like that.
Yeah, it does. It does. Really makes me feel good that he's down in the mucky muck with us.
Hit you right in the feels, you know.
Yeah, just really makes me feel good. But I think congratulations, Paul, on winning Workbench of the Week, and thank you, William, for coming along for the ride on that. That's been it's a fun exercise for all. So okay.
Let's spend some of William's money here.
Let's spend some money that's not ours.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys say?
Well, my thought too is out of the group that we gained 2 more guys in the last minute, so welcome you 2 guys.
Yeah.
But there was a question from John Rose asked about where did I get the fiber optics. I got it on eBay and I did share the link. But the actual, if you just search HO scale parts plastic filament for headlights, it comes up. There's only just a handful of people. But I'm going to tell you right now, when I was buying it, it was $5 shipped to my door. And now it's costing $5 to ship it. Plus the guy's charging the $7.50 or whatever he's got for the filament. You can find other stuff for less, but that's the stuff that I bought. I've got my old bag that is in my hand, and it's very tattered and worn because you have way more material here than you'll ever need. But this thing, I mean, I'm nipping off just a little tiny piece at a time. So I'm barely using this stuff. But that's where I got it. I got it on eBay. And again, you search HO scale parts, plastic filament for headlights, and it'll come up. And this guy's seller, if you look up his seller name, don't bother looking for John D5 because that's not who it is. It's I typed it in there and it didn't pop up, but I see it on the screen. He's got 3,301 sales. So that's where I got it from. But let's get back to our drawing that you had going on there.
Hey, let's do this. This is going to be fun for everyone.
And just out of kindness to those or whomever may win, you do have to contact us and provide us your contact information. We can do that either off the show, but I will also try to tailor it close to what your era might be. Just like I did for Mike. He got a 1980s. I know, Andy, you're not quite 70s necessarily, but hey, I mean, a 74 Gremlin can last.
Yeah, I think I'm in 77 to 79 now is my
70s.
It's my sweet spot.
70s. But we're close. So I'll get you close to your era. So let's fire her up there, Andy.
Yeah, so what we're going to do in the chat then tonight, what I'll need you guys to do is I'll need you to put in the chat. Let me see if I can bring it up here. The message that I'm going to display on screen, which is Soo the Milwaukee Road. So I'll need you guys to type in Soo the Milwaukee Road into the comments, and we will do the drawing here in a couple of minutes. We'll give you a chance to type that in to the comment section here. So Soo the Milwaukee Road, if you put hashtag Soo the Milwaukee Road in there, we'll use that as a comment collector, and we'll start doing the drawing from there.
Wait, William.
William.
I wanted nobody was typing it in, so I was trying to lead by example.
No.
Otter Creek, you'll want to put it all one word.
And same with Raymond's Trains.
Yeah.
No spaces.
No spaces in there.
But the future season that is coming up, I'll touch on that while these guys plug in the hashtags. It's going to be season 7, episode 1. I already provided Andy the link via his email.
Ooh,
We do cover the
mail.
vehicles a little bit throughout the season. I do cover this SW1500 that you saw. I also look at the Hiawatha Elevated District and some of the modifications that I've been doing for the scale head house for the General Mills building. And overall, I think just content-wise, it's more entertainment than anything. So if you like second section and the quirkiness, you guys, your audio drops have started to appear in there as well. So watch what you say.
Good.
There is where's the taco sauce from a very concerned Mike. And if you're working on something and you have your greasy meat hands, that's kudos to our one and only Andy.
Yeah, so. Good old the John Madden of Model Railroad podcast. This is
you
good
gotta
stuff.
Go over here, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Yep. Hey, what you got here? You got the vertical use of the workbench pile up. Okay, so make sure you guys are putting in Soo the Milwaukee Road. I'll give probably a countdown here, probably another 30 seconds, and we'll go ahead and collect those comments, and we'll do the drawing here in just a second.
And collectively, for anybody that, during episodes and you ask me questions, I try to answer them as soon as I can. I try to stay 2 weeks ahead of when I release them. But right now, the one that you're going to see, that'll come out on Friday, you guys will get to see it tonight. But, or actually maybe tomorrow morning. Depends on when this episode ends.
Yeah.
But anybody that makes comments, I try to at least adhere to it and adjust some of it within reason. I can't adjust everything, but I answer questions the best I can. And then it is content driven by you guys. I mean, the stuff that you guys share and the stuff that, I communicate with and see that is out there, it ends up popping up just because I enjoy spreading and sharing the hobby just like these guys do. So anybody that is out there, if you're listening to the podcast, if you made it this far, hit subscribe to Second Section. Make sure that you share with your wife, grab her phone and plug in Second Section and subscribe. Because that's what helps these guys grow, and that works with YouTube too. Hit your likes, hit your subscribes. Nobody is making $1 million out of this whole venture. We're just having fun with it, and the only way you can do it is to share it. So
exactly. It's
okay, Andy. We got to do a disclaimer.
Yeah. What's the disclaimer?
Okay, the disclaimer is any family, employees, past or future guests of the show, or anyone living within the borders or any province in Canada or the contiguous 48 states, Alaska, Hawaii, Europe, Japan, Asia, Australia, anywhere. Basically, if you live on a landmass, you're not eligible to win.
Okay. Well, we're going to do the drawing anyway here. So I think,
damn it.
I think the 30 seconds is up. So let's play this game here that StreamYard offers.
So I did not know they did this. This is cool.
Yeah. So we're just going to hit the draw, see what happens. Oh, look at that. Michael Shea. Congratulations. You're the winner of the William Sampson giveaway this evening. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, if Michael, I don't know if he is able to communicate, obviously, with us, provide us some contact information. If you want to contact me directly, let me see. Is there any way that he can communicate with us outside of just throwing out our email addresses?
We can have him email us at the Second Section Podcast at gmail.com.
Perfect.
So why don't you send an email there? I'll make sure that gets over to William Toot Sweet so that we can get your prize on the way. So congratulations.
Just provide me your era and your scale so I can at least get you close as far as what we're working with.
So well done, Michael. Congratulations. And hope you guys enjoyed that. There might be more giveaways in the future here. If we hit subscriber milestones, stuff like that, we'll start doing a few more of these types of things just to show appreciation to everyone that tunes in from week to week. So Anyways,
super cool the way it did
wasn't that
was
fun?
neat. That was neat.
That's a fun little tool that StreamYard has to offer. So I guess before we tie down tonight, because we are getting into hour 3 here, so I think we might pass on the details on buildings tonight, William, and maybe
Yep.
catch that up for a future episode.
We got to get to bed.
Yeah, we all got to go to bed and get up for work tomorrow, right? So I just want to essentially give the section crew one more chance to ask any questions of the I guess the William and Mike and I, see if that, if something that you saw tonight needs some clarity or anything like that. Give you guys a enough chance to ask questions. But Mike, I always like to kick it over to you to start closing thoughts here. What do you think of having a look at the details tonight?
I'm kind of a detail oriented guy when it comes to certain, to doing my modeling. I want to make sure I get it as close as possible and think, but the older I'm getting, the more, how can I say it? Tolerant, I guess I am. I am starting to get, I know it sounds weird, but the more tolerant I am of, that's good. That's, pretty close from and starting to understand the 3 foot, if it looks good from 3 feet away,
yeah, right,
it'll look fine at 4 feet. You know what I mean? I guess I'm starting to understand that we don't need every single detail on there, but some subtleties can really, really change the way a scene can look, and sometimes the way a model looks. And that's kind of more where I'm trying to tend towards, and just go for it. Look at Michael Shanky. I keep on bringing him up, but look at all the stuff he's accomplished just because he just decided to go for it and do it, and don't be afraid. It's just a model,
Yeah, right, exactly. Just get in there, get your hands dirty. I mean, this putting the stripe on, a car, never done that before, right? So that was something that I've done for the first time tonight. Same with the taco sauce, and it wasn't so bad. So yeah, just get in there, get her done, try it, and you'll start to learn new techniques.
Yeah, I mean, and there's guys out there. I don't know of too many guys that aren't willing to try to help out. And the only way you're going to learn is by asking. And then, like you said, getting in there and trying it, that's it, Then William is really good at explaining how to do these things. Ralph is good at explaining how to do these things. Boomer's great at explaining how to do that. I mean, the list goes on. Tom Johnson and Tom Klomoski, my goodness,
right.
All of them, they are amazing at explaining how to do stuff. So,
yeah, I think that, from my standpoint, it's I actually really love the details, and I'm even going so far with doing hand painting of my backdrops and adding uh um details in there, and it's starting to become almost like a sub hobby within the hobby of model railroading. Is how much detail can I pack into my locomotives, rolling stock. We got my cars now, buildings and all this stuff. And I know that people may never ever pick up on it, but for me, that's where the fun really lies. So let's see here. Soo the Milwaukee Road says, anyone seeking the link to the start of season 7 episode 1. William, how are you going to be distributing that this evening?
I did paste it just in the conversation thread there, but then at least it's in the group. But I'll come back around and post it in unless you want to put it in the description of the video.
Yeah, I can put it, do a little post prep here and put it in the description for tonight. So while you're interacting, William, I just wanted to give you last round of thoughts, comments on this evening's show. and any closing advice that you'd have for the modelers who are looking to get into the details.
I think the biggest thing is the inspiration that you can find through the Tom Johnsons, Klamoski, the list of guys that Ralph Renzetti and Tom Gazer, that Mike had even kind of alluded to. All of you guys are feeding us, and then as we feed one another, we're able to share that content back and forth. And in my opinion, I don't feel like there's at any point where there's this everyone's better than somebody else. If you're going to share the information, you're going to put it out there. That's for your opportunity to learn about it. I know in Tom's videos, Tom Johnson, he had some of those cars that I had mentioned. Now, these wouldn't be necessarily in the giveaways, but these are those Neo cars that I kind of had continued to mention. And in my opinion, the cost of some of these cars, and where I'm going to close with, is what little cost, and by little cost that maybe a car like this can be, it can take the railroad to a whole nother level. It's a subtle detail to have a nice vehicle. And then using some of those techniques that we talked about before, about the taco sauce, the antennas, the exhaust pipe, and stuff like that. You want to be able to take your skills to the next level. I believe you firmly can. It's just a matter of just doing it over and over to a point that you know what's right and what looks right, because we know that Boomer didn't get to where he was at, or Ralph didn't get to where they're at without the practice. So have at it, have fun with it, enjoy the hobby. And like I said before, share. The more we share, the more I guess we can learn.
Yeah, and we're bringing everyone up all together is the other, the more we share, the more we grow together. So that's a good point. So I do want to thank the section crew for hanging in there tonight. We got 75 folks still on in the chat up to the very bitter end here. At some points, I think we had over 150 in the chat tonight. So great show. I want to thank the moderators for keeping things clean in the chat. And then just do a little administrative stuff here. So we'll be back on in 2 weeks. We got some pretty interesting guests coming on the show here. I'm not going to give away the farm just yet, but I can tell you that the next slate of guests on the show are going to be fun. And if you're looking to check us out outside of the world of YouTube and get to know the community a little better, we do have a Facebook group, Second Section Podcast Facebook group. Just click to join and answer the questions 3, and we'll let you in, and you get to be a part of a great modeling community there. People always quick with feedback, help, whatever you need to essentially become a better modeler. We're also out there on secondsectionpodcast.com. So if you miss any of our episodes, or you want to find us on the audio, we're out there as well, posting all of our episodes out there. So I want to thank everyone again. Mike, William, this has been a really fun night.
Lots of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And I do want to thank both of you for hanging in there as well. So again, check us out, Second Section on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't. That subscription to our channel lets you know when we're posting new shows, and we're also putting stuff in the community tab out there as well. So, all right, gang, section crew, thank you so much. Everyone have a good night. We'll see you.
Night.
See ya.